Hey, all
Now
you
you're loud.
cool cats and kittens.
No.
Welcome back to Confidence Coaching Week.
That was.
How you like that?
You practiced that one. Huh?
It's Johnny.
You're so loud.
I know, right?
Come right in my ear. Good grief. I thought I was excited for an opening, but geez Louise. Okay, let's hop over here on the comments. Hello, everybody.
We're going to give everybody
Hey,
a moment to hop on here.
Your mom's the first comment. Wave
Right?
hi to your mom.
My
Hi,
mom was
Mom.
always the first follower. Thank you, Mama. I love you.
So you'll notice that last night was a little bit of an improv session for your Confidence Coaching Week, Day 5. We thought that it would be funny to kind of share with you a little bit of our bloopers from yesterday. So for those of you that have been following through the Confidence Coaching Week, we've been just kind of taking you step by step through this program, answering our questions, going through some confidence and motivational stuff. And Michael and I started back in June. This would have been our 4th lesson. And we wanted to do something that would be fun, that would be non-horse related, to kind of give us a little bit of a break here and there. And we started learning how to wakeboard. So we go down to the coast, we go to wakeboarding lessons, we spend about an hour. And yesterday was our 4th wakeboarding lesson that we had. And we got to show you all of our failures. So we've kind of been talking about having your relationship with failure and seeing it as a positive thing and seeing it as an opportunity to keep learning, to keep trying, to keep practicing. And there was a lot of failing going on. What was your big takeaway from yesterday?
Whenever you go wakeboarding, if you try to send it, you can chip teeth and have concussions. That was what I learned yesterday. No, guys, what we want to do as
At least
teachers...
you can't see it from the...
You can't see it
It's
from the
fine.
computer.
It's all fine. I'm
So-
going to the dentist tomorrow. It's okay.
So, what we try to do, as both of us are professional
Show us your
teachers...
chip tooth. They can't see it because it's at the bottom. It's like right here on the main front tooth. And I thought that I had like something stuck to it, and then I
Since
realized
both of us
that-
are professional teachers, we try to never get away from what it's like to suck at something, from what it's like to be learning something. I feel like a lot of teachers, they get so caught up in that teacher role that they let years and years go by without learning something new, and because of that, they lose connection with their students. They can't see it from where their students are seeing it. So we constantly are trying to learn something new. We are constantly trying to read a different
Struggle.
book, try a different discipline, try a different craft. We're always dabbling in something so we stay grounded and we stay with that feeling of being a student, so that we, number one, that really gives you more patience as a teacher to remember what it feels like to suck at something and just not get it. And the instructor saying, just sit back. That's what they were telling me yesterday. Just sit back. Just
Relax.
lean. Just
Breathe.
lean back. I'm like,
I am leaning back.
that's what I tell people all day, is just lean back. Just lean back. Just relax. I am relaxed, okay? You're dropping my face into water at 20 miles per hour. But yeah, I'm relaxed.
You weren't going 20
we like
miles
to...
an hour. You're going a little slower than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on like 2 ends of the spectrum. There's Michael, and then there's Send It Kelsey. Michael,
Who got a
Send
concussion
It
and a
Kelsey.
chip
I
tooth?
didn't get a concussion. I didn't get a concussion.
She said, I don't feel so good this morning.
It's all fine.
I need to take a nap. You should take a nap. That's what happens when your face goes smack, smack. Have you ever seen when gunshots go off in Africa and all the birds leave the trees? That's what it sounded like when her face hit the water. I saw big birds leaving the trees.
The alligators ran out of the water.
The alligators went under the water. The birds left the trees. It was great.
It was fun. It's all fine. It's
But
all
anywho,
fine.
we get at that to tell you this. We try to do this on purpose and constantly be sucking at something. If we're not failing at something, we're not trying. So we constantly are trying to try something new that we fail at. One, it keeps us grounded, and two, especially in the beginning, that's only 4 sessions. Hell, the first 2 sessions, I couldn't even stand up on the board. So the fact that I can stand up on the board on the left side of the wake all that I want to, as long as I want to, that's like a crazy learning curve. So there's nothing more beautiful than when you're absolutely horrid at something.
Yeah.
Because the learning curve is the most addicting at that point. The beginning is always the most seductive. It's always the most addicting because it's so... The learning curve is crazy. Once you get proficient at something, like that's when the self-discipline comes in, and that's when you really gotta want it, because you don't see those big differences every day, and you really gotta self-discipline yourself to work each and every day to get a little bit better and a little
That
bit better.
1%, that 1% that we talked about, we're definitely only rocking that 1% right now.
So in the wakeboarding, it's like 100% better every single time.
Yeah.
In the horses, I mean, I got to go out there and scratch and claw and fight on days that I don't feel like it to get this much better is how I'm pushing it. Unless I'm doing a discipline that I don't know, is trying to get that much better. So that's why don't overestimate how amazing this part of the journey is. If you are horrid at it, if you are frustrated with it, don't forget to stop and smell the roses, because this is a beautiful part of the journey where everything you hear is something new in your ears, where everything that you try is something new to try. That's a beautiful part of the journey, because the learning curve is like a freaking circle. Like every day you're learning something new and trying something new. So make sure you appreciate those frustrating days and those days that you just don't get it.
Robert said, "Thank you. The suck in us appreciate the suck in you." You're welcome.
Yoki mo sabe, sokola. Hey, suck recognize suck. I get it. No, it's like whenever they're coaching.
I promise you that your first time working with horses and going through this program is not going to suck nearly as bad as Michael when we were in Australia and he went to the wakeboard park for the first time and spent 6 hours? No, 4 hours? 4-ish hours trying to get up on the wakeboard. And it ticked him off so bad that he didn't get up that we went back 2 more days in a row just so he could get up on the wakeboard one time. That's a lot of failing. It's a lot of hurt.
Babe,
it's a lot of sore.
Do you know what you're saying?
What?
And concussion protocol, a lot of times 2 or 3 days later after a nap, that's when you come to. Maybe you should just relax.
Don't have a concussion. It's fine. I might wear a helmet and a mouth guard going forward, though. Once they give you the freedom, so that's the thing about
They gave you the freedom? They just pulled the boat.
I know, but what I'm saying,
you took it upon yourself.
No, they gave me motivation. So when your coach is telling you
Send
that,
it.
But hey, you've crossed the wake, you're getting comfortable, this is the next step. Well, that next step I am committing to wholeheartedly. And
Look here. Wakeboarders are hippie surfer dudes. They're just like, send it, bruh. Yeah. This is a little spooky and instructor, let me tell you. Just send it.
You can do that on cold starting.
Don't be scared, bro. Wait till next time you guys come for a lesson. I'm going to just be like, dude, just go fast, man. Yeah.
Canner. You can do it.
Gallop.
Giddy up. Giddy up.
Noggin. No, guys, in all fairness, we understand where you're coming from, and we understand whenever somebody's telling you something repeatedly, and it's hard to just get your brain wrapped around doing it, period. So that's why I love time in between. So we've only wakeboarded 4 times, but there's been a week or 3 weeks or 4 weeks in between, and we've been able to soak it in. So that's one of the reasons that I love our retreats more than I like our clinics. Our clinics are great, but I will have your brain bubbling, and it happens so fast that it's hard for you to wrap your head around it. One of the things that I notice about our week-long retreats is we do something, yeah, you might suck at it, but you go. My mother cooks you an amazing dinner. You eat until you feel bloated, and then you drink a beer on top of that, and then you sit out there in the rocking chair or the hammock, and then you think about it all night. And when you wake up, you're like a new person. You try it again, and you have 6 of those nights to process it and try it again. So that's really where you get a lot better. It's where you can try and fail. It doesn't have to happen in the moment. You process on it and come back and give it another go. And there's something about that freshness about trying it again where a lot of learning happens and a lot of growth happens. I don't know what it is about having a whole night to think about it or having a little break to process and digest, but I find it so many times when people come back in a retreat on day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, by the 5th day, I mean, they're just running and gunning.
Robert said, you gotta risk it for the Seabiscuit, man. Board on.
Gotta risk it for the biscuit.
Robert, why do I feel like we're just gonna be running rampant with the whole herd of retreaters across the pasture with you when you get here in a month?
Well, we're putting her on the draft horse, so we'll all be ahead of her.
Hey, I herded all the cows by myself on said draft horse, so come at me. I did? You left me.
Well, you gotta herd them because you can't rope them. Hey, we were roping, and she came out for a roping practice. And when the roping practice was over, her glove looked like Swiss cheese. When she took it off, you could see through it. That's not what the glove is for. I don't know what you were doing with the glove, but you're not supposed to tie your thumbs and fingers to the horn.
I didn't.
Ever since then, we
They're all
just,
here. They're all, well,
it's like me and my trick riding is her and her roping. We just put her on the sideline. Hey, you just watch and cheer, okay, honey? And she says, hey, whenever you come to a trick riding performance, I'm just supposed to cheer or hold the horse. Hey, teach his own, right?
to each
Stay in
its
our
own.
own lane.
No, that's not true.
All right,
gotta do
so
activities
what
together.
is the quote of the day? Come on, give it to
Today's
us.
quote is, being brave doesn't mean that you have to go looking for trouble, from Mufasa. So what does that mean in regards to horses, horse training, your journey, and your confidence? Just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should do something, or unless you've done the steps to get to point A to point B, that you've prepared yourself, prepared your horse, and you've built your confidence up to that level. So this is one thing that we like to talk about, because as you go through the Respect series we've talked about, and you go through our videos, and you're training your horse, and you're building your confidence, you're doing all these cool things, and you're starting with the horse that you have at home, and you find success, and that's awesome. There's a lot of people that find so much success in what they're doing with their horse that they immediately go out and adopt a BLM Mustang or get a Colt Start and just move straight to that, when we haven't necessarily built our confidence and our ability level up to that level to working with the horse of that difficulty from the beginning. So you have the steps. Yes, the steps are going to be the same. Yes. But let's make sure that we properly prepared ourselves, that you've taken this series of the checklist, and you go through the Respect series on multiple different horses that are under saddle. Really make sure that you brought your comfort level and your ability level up to going through a Colt Starter, going through that process before you're just throwing yourself to the wolves with an unhandled BLM Mustang, which we're going to cover tonight. I'm actually going to take you through that journey with Tarzan. A bunch of people have asked his progress and everything that we've done with him, and the members followed us all the way through that. So we're going to go back through the 53 days that we documented back to back, so you can kind of see his journey, and I can share a little bit on him and all the things that he learned, but show you how the same process worked on a feral, undomesticated, never been touched, hadn't been handled pony.
A couple things to add in this process. I have 2 cents I'd just like to put in. A
Just
couple
2.
things. Yes.
No more than 2.
A couple things that we're putting in for this Respect series is just some common knowledge on what you shouldn't ride. If you can't pass these tests, don't ride it, period. But the next thing is this. 1, there's only 3 ways to get a well-trained horse. You can buy a horse that is well-trained, you can send it to somebody to train it well, and you can train it yourself. Perfect, understood. Now we got that part of the information in your head, great. The next thing is, no matter how wonderful of a trainer you are, no matter if you are the leading expert in horses in the world, on planet Earth, if the horse's difficulty level is more than your comfort level, you will not fix it. And I can say that very confidently, because I've gotten horses from Olympic medalists, I've gotten horses from Grand Prix trainers, I've gotten horses from $1 million riders. Whenever you're riding a $1 million rider's horse and it comes to you and it's a problem, that just lets you know, hey, they're $1 million riders and they are very good at what they do, world-class elite, but they are not comfortable with this day job, okay? It would be the difference in, hey, you had a self-defense course and you are a security guard at the mall, and them putting you in Iraq. It's not the same level. Yes, you have firearms training. No, you are not ready for Iraq. It's the same thing with a pony. If the horse that you get is more difficult than your comfort level, the reason that you won't fix it, and I'm not saying that to belittle anyone, it's simply because whenever you're going to work a horse, your confidence level needs to be ridiculously high, because your singular thought, your only thought, needs to be pressure and release on the one thing in which you are asking the horse to do at a time. So whether I want the horse to back or turn or flex or give or bend or go, whatever the singular thing is I'm asking, 100% of my mental power needs to be on making that horse mentally uncomfortable so that I can release the moment that they do it. And what happens is, when people get in over their head, they have the information, but if that horse snarls and has white foam coming out of its mouth and is trying to bite you in the face, your brain is like, oh shit!
And that one step back turns into more of a dragon.
So then every time that it makes a move, your brain goes, instead of thinking pressure, 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 release, tap, 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 release, click, 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 release. You start getting a little nervous. Now your mouth gets tight. Now your
Hey, I can relate to that.
your verbal cues go out of the window, and you'll hear me tell people, kiss with your mouth, kick with your feet. Because when they get uncomfortable, they'll forget what to do with their mouth. They'll forget what to do with their feet. And now they're just a passenger on a horse that needs help. So that's why we say, hey, make sure you don't get a horse that makes you uncomfortable. And if you do, that's okay too. But then we go right back to the same three. We have a horse that makes us uncomfortable. You end up with that BLM Mustang or that Colt Start or that rescue horse that makes you uncomfortable. There's three ways to have a trained horse. If the horse makes you uncomfortable, training the horse yourself goes out of the window. You already have the horse, so you're not going to buy the horse. So the only way left is to send it with somebody. And when you send it to a professional, it's not necessarily that they have to fix it completely. They just have to bring it down
A little
below your comfort level.
Yeah.
The horse has got, wherever you're working, it's got to be under your comfort level. I'm building a man shed right now, and I plan on having a paint shop. I plan on doing some old man tinkering in my spare time, of course. But the thing about it, if I screw it up or get it wrong, like if I'm building an old classic car myself, if I get it wrong, who cares? It just won't move. When I start it up, it just won't go. When cars break down, they don't go. When horses break down, they don't whoa. There is a huge difference there. So it's not one of these things that you want to learn on a hunker. You want to learn on a horse that's going to take care of you. And we have a rule of thumb for that as well. The rule of thumb to live by is this. If it takes 10,000 hours to master your craft, and the way they came up with that is in the good days, before college and society and all this, whatever you wanted to be, you would take an apprenticeship with a lawyer or a doctor or a horse trainer, whatever you wanted to be, for 7 years. And after 7 years, you would get 10,000 hours, and they would think after 10,000 hours, you should be able to go out on your own. So 10,000 hours, 7 years. We would get a lot more than 10,000 hours in 7 years. So 10,000 hours, 7 years. In 10,000 hours, you should be a master at your craft. Okay, well, think about it like this. If you are just starting in horses, maybe I need to find a wakeboard with 10,000 hours on it. If you get...
I don't know that it would help.
10,000 hours to master your craft. So if you're just starting to ride, you should get a horse that has 10,000 hours to make up for the fact that you have 0 hours. And then as you gain 100 hours, that horse can have 100 hours less. And as you gain 10,000 hours, I would hope, and it doesn't always work this way, but I would hope that you can handle a horse with no hours. But that's kind of the scale that we want to get it on. And the reason we say this is just because we've run into hundreds upon hundreds of people who just simply made the wrong choice up front, and it got them hurt. And it's not because they didn't know. It's not because they weren't balanced. It's not because they weren't physically capable. It's not because they weren't talented enough, or they didn't read enough books, or surely not because they didn't try hard enough. It was simply because the horse made them uncomfortable, and because of that, there was no hope from the beginning. If they would have just had somebody in their inner circle, in their ear, saying, hey, like, that's too much, okay? Look at your reactions. Look how the horse is making you hold your breath and take a step back and second guess yourself. You can't drive the car and second guess yourself. You just need to drive. That's why the only thing good after 21 years old is 24. And 24, they lower your insurance for driving a car. And the way that happened is they figure, hell, after a decade of driving a car, you should be safer. And the science put it together. The insurance companies give you a break at 24 years old on your insurance. Because before that, there's so much second guessing and freezing up and mashing on the brake and not being able to put the car where you want, that people under 24 years old are in such a significant higher place to get in a crash. Kind of goes back to the hours, the hours doing it thing. So it's the exact same thing that we're trying to tell you. You have all this information and education, and some people, a lot of you guys are going to go home and do so freaking well on your horse that you're going to want to go from 0 to 100 real quick.
Don't do it.
And
Wait.
we've seen...
Wait just a little bit. We're going to
seen
help
it.
you.
Yeah, we've seen it where we go from our comfortable horse that was just a little snotty, but already rides, and we were already trail riding it, and we got it going good.
And you fixed those problems with that horse.
Yeah, and we did so good with that horse that was already not a criminal that we go straight from that. I'm talking about we go to death row and just get somebody out of death row, get a criminal. or get something feral or something that has dreadlocks and cockaburros in his tail. That's a big jump.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Yes.
And that being said, too, some of you might have already made that jump, which isn't a big deal. It is fixable. But again, you either have to bring that horse's difficulty level down to where you're comfortable, or bring your confidence level up to that horse's difficulty level. So that might be something as simple as, like Michael talked about, the easy thing is just send it to somebody for training, send it for us to training, come to a retreat where we can kind of help you take the edge off depending on how difficult that horse is, a clinic, anything like that, to kind of help give that little edge to kind of see where we're at and evaluate that situation. Or you can also set yourself up for success by practicing this method and practicing this respect series on any other horses that you have that just need a couple things tweaked, or using your friend's horse and building your confidence with the steps to where when this happens, do this, when that happens, do this. And so we want to be there to hold your hand and go every step of the way through the program. And that's the cool thing, that with you sending videos in, we can see those red flags and see something and be like, okay, looking at what this horse is doing, we're going to need one new step this direction. We're going to need this little bit of help to help you go there. And we see it all the time too, especially with rescue horses, and we get a ton of those in for training, and we've gone through that process. You never know why a horse ended up in a rescue, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it can just be an oops or something, an owner passed away and they end up there not for a reason. But a lot of times the horses that go there have gotten there because they've hurt somebody in their past. And especially when those horses aren't cared for and they get underweight and they don't get fed because somebody doesn't want to take care of them, or they get put, out to pasture and not taken care of because they did hurt somebody. Whenever people go and rescue these horses, they seem very gentle, especially when they're in that situation, because malnutrition is one of those things that is a total game changer for what that horse is going to become when it feels good. So we've had horses that have been sent here straight from a rescue that we've put weight on, gone through the training program, and in the beginning they might have been easy for the first 2 or 3 weeks, but as they start feeling better, then that horse starts showing you who they are more and more, because they have that energy and they have that confidence to do so. So that's the thing about having a program, being able to go through the steps and see those red flags. Being brave doesn't mean you have to go looking for trouble. If you see those signs and you see that you either are not going to have the confidence to fix that, or you need some help, having somebody in your ear to help guide you through that process. And another thing we were talking about, which was I never even thought about till Michael said it, is owning horses is like the only thing that you can do that's like a super high risk activity, that you don't have to have any kind of certification. You don't have to have any training program. You can just go buy a horse whenever you want. And it's not necessarily common knowledge that you have to have any kind of education or have a training program in place to go do these things. Like, at least with dogs and animals like that, you understand that basic obedience is a thing. You understand that sit, lay down, come, heel, whatever these different tasks that you're asking the dog to do, like, that's common knowledge. But nobody says, hey, if that horse won't back up out of your space and respect you, that's like not common knowledge. Hey, that horse will not calmly drop their head instead of trying to, throw their head, run into you. There's so many red flags there that nobody's made common knowledge, and that's kind of what we're trying to do with our program, is give steps that let you see, okay, red flag, not good, let's fix that before we move on to the next step. Hey, the way that this horse is looking around and the things that they're doing, it probably wouldn't be wise to throw our leg over, but nobody's ever sat there and said that. Nobody's ever developed just a little checklist instead of, buying into a program that makes you feel like you have to watch thousands and thousands of hours and go through course 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 before you feel like you can go and work your horse. Just a set series of 12 questions. Does your horse do this? Yes, no, no, let's fix it. Yes, move on. And move on to the next one. Same thing. And we talked about this a little bit too whenever we did the example on the Respect series on Confidence Day 4, and going through that program, that it's passing, not perfection. So on day 1 of going through the steps, we're going to let them pass with a D. Like, that's okay. But then we're going to start asking for more. We're going to start pushing for more. We're going to start asking for a better grade every time that we do that. Because as you move on to the next thing, as things get harder, as things get more difficult, every step behind that gets easier. So that's the thing. Whenever we switch here to in a second, I'm going to kind of go through those steps of what we did with Tarzan, my BLM Mustang for the Mustang Makeover, and share the steps of how yes, he may have passed and we moved on, but look at how now every new thing that I show him, every new building block that we go forward with is just making everything behind it that much easier.
Well, and another thing too, here,
I thought you only wanted 2 cents.
that was 2.
Do you want to pay for more cents?
More sense.
Okay.
One more thing.
You go.
One more thing.
Okay.
So, we ride the most ridiculous things for a living. Like hey, it's been to 3 trainers. We're thinking about putting it down. You're his last chance. Here you go. Here, we're going to send it to Mississippi on its way to Mexico. Like, all these ridiculous stories that you're thinking, no pressure. Oh, only a horse's life in the balance. Okay, I got you. We'll make it work. Even with all those, especially the more experience that I get, if they don't pass the test, it doesn't offend me to not ride them. So before, like, I was just so dead set, and I've had like a chip on my shoulder because nobody would give me any horses for training. I felt like I had to ride the horse the first day, the first 2 days, the first 3. I had to for
Otherwise, they wouldn't leave the horse
public,
with you.
Yeah, for the public, for the following, I had to. Now at this point, I'll go to a clinic and I'll start a horse here, and a horse will get sent in here. It doesn't offend me if it takes me a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get it under saddle, because
Especially if they're already a criminal.
Yeah, it passes the test or it doesn't. And since I've had this like Hakuna Matata type revelation.
Revelation.
There
Good
you go.
job.
Revelation is Hakuna Matata type revelation. My incidents of getting buck with or flipped over on or these things happen with these criminals has gone down significantly. Like, it very, very rarely happens that I get into trouble on the back of a horse, because I'm making sure they pass the test and pass them with flying colors.
From the ground.
And the worse and nastier they are, the better they have to pass the test to prove to me, to earn my trust that they're ready to ride. And it took experience to figure that out. And it took me experience to figuring out it wasn't cool bucking out a horse. It wasn't cool to have action. It wasn't cool to have a dust up in the round pen or the arena. It wasn't cool to be able to say, oh, I can ride that. Who gives a shit? You're not a bronc rider. Oh, no.
Easy.
Nobody cares.
Crap.
If you're not a bronc rider, nobody cares if you can ride a buck out. If you're a horse trainer or if you're a horse enthusiast, it's your job to keep them from getting in trouble, to keep them from bucking, to keep them, because every time that they buck or run or rear, there's that chance that they get a release by doing the wrong thing. And we don't want them to. We're simply their professor. They're simply our students. We are simply their parents. They're simply our kids. And it's our job to make sure that they find releases that we want them to, because that has a direct correlation on how they learn, and how they learn has a direct correlation on their quality of life. So if you're just trying to ride it out, and let them buck, understand you're giving them a chance to get a release by getting you off their back. That becomes habitual, that becomes their habit, and then they end up in a worse and worse place because they got people off their back. And whose fault is it? It's ours. It's always management's fault. It's always the owner's fault, and that's us. So it's our job to outthink them every step of the way, and to make sure that they don't get any chances, period. They don't get any chances to act bad. They don't get any chances to get the wrong answer. We're just going to keep working through the early steps and those fundamental steps and that foundation until we feel they earn our trust to ride them.
And it's funny the look on the horses' faces that are so experienced with something, because it's not uncommon for a horse to go through 25 trainers before they get here. And, they've had 6 years of all these different people trying to fix the problem. And then we get 30 days to try to make a difference in that horse's life. And the horses that come that are experienced criminals and are experienced at doing all these things, don't touch it. I have it where I want it. Are experienced doing all these things, that when Michael doesn't pick that fight with them, they look like disappointed. You look at their eyes and they're like, you're not going to swing your leg over me? You're not going to ride me? You're not going to grab a bigger bit? You're not going to grab a rope? What do you mean? And they just look at it. And then day 2, they come out and they're still puzzled. And day 3, they come out and they're like, okay, all right, I can move, I can walk, trot, canter. Like, I'll give my head, that's okay. And then, it's like they're just waiting. They're waiting for somebody to pick a fight with them. They're waiting for somebody to have that argument. And if you keep things clear and you keep communicating to them in a way that they understand and working through those issues instead of letting them continue to practice those issues again and again, it kind of changes their mindset, and it changes their excitement about learning. So a lot of horses that come here that are problem horses, that are rescue horses, that have gone through, kill pin horses, whatever it might be, they've gone through all these things, and they don't enjoy learning. And so we kind of have to reteach them to enjoy the process, to enjoy doing things again, and have positive experience with groundwork and positive experiences with saddle time and ride time, and not feeling like, and Michael's really big about not riding the tryout of a horse, and that's so important, because when you do that, even if they are experienced in doing all of these bad behaviors, horse behaviors, they're not enjoying the process. So you have to make things fun again. You have to make things enjoyable. You have to make them get releases in the way that they do the right thing and they canter 2 strides without bronking you off. And they understand, okay, loose rein, you're not asking me again? Okay. And the next day we come out and we ask for 3 or 4 strides. And they realize these positive experiences after positive experiences. And our job as horse trainers is to help us have 30 days of success with that horse, not that horse have 30 days of success doing that behavior again and again and again. And it's amazing how much of that goes out of their ability and out of their mindset when they actually enjoy those rides, and they get to go out and walk in a halter on a loose rein on a trail, and go through the obstacle course, and go chase cows, and do all these different things. And then once we get through those resistance issues, then we start adding more stimulus, working through that resistance, adding more stimulus, working through that resistance. We played a soccer game with six horses 2 days ago. And in there was 4 of the 6 were colt starts. No, 3 of the 6 were colt starts, had been here 30 to 60 days under saddle. And the rest of them were all problem horses, had bucked somebody off, had broken somebody. And it was the most entertaining soccer game, because we, as horse trainers, we have our goal. We're going to play soccer. We've taught the horse all the basics. We've taught them everything that they need to know. That is our answer. This is the answer to your question, is go forward, chase the ball, and do your job. Right and left, go forward. And so working through resistance and working through any of these problems, when you don't pick a battle with them and you don't make it a big deal and you correct the issue and move on, you don't dwell on it, you don't get... Butt hurt's not the word. I don't know the polite word to say that. I know.
Oh my goodness.
It's fine. When you don't take that to heart, when you don't take that personally,
Nice.
it is so much better than butt hurt. Sorry. And moving through the process, it just... I lost my train of thought. Finish my thought. Go.
When you don't get butt hurt.
No. Stop. I don't take it personally. Don't take these personally.
Your job here is to outsmart your horse. Emotions will not help you in any way. You getting any kind of emotion with your horse,
except for fun.
Other than fun and enjoyment, anything else is not beneficial. It's only going to get in your way, because your job with these horses, they have you beat in every way. They're bigger than you, they're stronger than you, they're faster than you, they're in better shape than you. All these things better than you. The one thing you have is you're smarter than them, so you have to turn everything into a chess match. And as long as you can do that, the further away you can get away from using your muscle, and the closer you can get to using your mind, the more successful you're going to be. And when we talk about, don't get in over your head, so much, the only thing that we're really talking about, you can train, the worst, nastiest, meanest horse if you can control your emotions, if you can control your fears, if you can control your those things. And unfortunately, for most of us, it takes experience to be able to handle those harder and harder and harder horses. If you are that, just freak that is just stone cold and can handle no problem, you might be that one.
You need to come work for us. If
Yes,
you would like to come join the academy program,
we
we'd
will
love
give
to
you
have
a job. But if you are a normal individual, it's going to take a lot of experiences for your brain to say, okay, we can handle this.
We can do
handle
this.
Oh, the horse is trying to bite me in the face. It's okay. I've seen 100 other horses try to bite me in the face. They all missed. You see a horse kicking at you. You say, oh, I've seen 1,000 horses try to kick at me. Most of them missed. When you get to that point, that's when you're just going to simply turn it into...
Except for that horse at the Amish clinic. It's all
fine. Oh my
fine.
goodness, and it was such a good joke too.
Were you telling a joke when you
I
got
was
kicked?
I was mid punchline.
This is
it
your
turned
problem.
into a kick line.
Oh,
The Amish were a tough nut to crack. Let me tell you, they were
His
very,
jokes weren't working.
very difficult.
They don't like car
were,
jokes.
They did not like dad jokes at all, and it kind of was a problem for me because I like to get a reaction out of my crowd whenever I'm teaching. It keeps me going. So we've done worked horses, problem horses all morning. It's hot as can be. I got all these Amish out there, and they're straight face as can be. Now, oh man. Finally, I made a joke about marriage and a joke about kids, and they thought it was the bee's knees. I'm talking about we had them rolling as you would think I was Kevin Hart or somebody. They were just giddy. They were laughing like could be. Well, then I got addicted on how, like, they were reacting harder than my normal crowds. So I was just hitting them with joke after joke. At the meantime, I had this horrible horse trying to kill me.
Yeah.
They had a herd of undomesticated bronc stock. So bronc stock is quarter horse, draft horse cross that
feral.
are bred to make bucking horses. The problem, on top of being bucking horses, they were feral. They had been out in 500 acres and they hadn't been touched. So
they brought them into us.
the
Anytime that the
Amish got a
Amish calls you
song.
in for a clinic,
Yeah,
you know
so
it's
they got
good.
them in a cell. They got the whole herd and they got them for a song for nothing. But
We had to
they
cold
were
start all of them.
rank, okay? So we get them and we work through a couple of them. Not an easy clinic at all. Probably one of our toughest clinics to date.
Yeah.
But then I start getting them laughing, and we're like on horse number 3 or 4 by now, and I'm just hitting him with joke after joke, and this horse is kicking at me. I'm talking about I can feel the wind off of him. His hoof is about bigger than my head. It's about that big around, big draft hoof. Woof, woof. And I'm thinking, man, that would suck to get hit by. I tell you, woof, woof. And I'm telling a joke, and I'm doing this and doing that, and I look up and I say a punchline, and right as the punchline was coming out, he got me mid-thigh, just right on my quad. Just you could hear it. It sounded like it snapped. Raka! I was like, that sucks.
So the wife did the rest of the colt starting and the rest of the clinic.
But the host of the clinic, he gave me some Banamine, and I was good to go. About 15,
This is a disclaimer. Do not give yourself Banamine.
15 minutes later, I was feeling warm and fuzzy. No?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. This is funny. Yes, Deanne, we do sometimes.
Hey,
Yes.
we've had 4 wakeboarding lessons
We
in our
have.
career, and those
We
were the 4
have.
times that we took off.
Let's see. I'm working a dull horse at the moment. What a difference after the passos. Yeah, for sure. You can work the passos through the program, and Arabian through the program, saddlebred, standardbred.
If you come to our barn is the only barn that I've seen that I've been to, and all the barns I've been to. The only barn that I could say is similar to this is in the big city, like outside of Atlanta or New York, a boarding barn that has a whole bunch of different horses. The difference is there's never a trainer that's riding them all. It's just a boarding barn. It just so happens that there's different breeds. I've never been to a world-class training facility where there's 15 different breeds in the barn. Here, you'll go through our barn, we'll have 20 horses in for training, and there might be 15 breeds, 18 breeds in. Like, you'll go, there'll be a pony, a reining pony, like a little bitty pony that a kid rides, sorting cows, and a draft horse, and a Frisian, and a Paso, and a saddlebred, and an Icelandic. And you're like, oh my goodness, where did all these horses come from? This is like Noah's Ark here.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Somebody said, LOL, I'm concerned after you see my latest video I submitted, you'll tell me to get out of horses altogether. Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not.
You're in for the best ride. If that's how you feel, then there's nothing but learning from here. It's the best to be.
And we've all been there.
You're right, absolutely.
That's what Michael, he goes through and he, you see him working with the lead rope. I'm like, how bad can that be? Like, I can spin a lead rope. You know how many times I still whip myself with said lead rope on a regular basis? The rope ninja thing is not a overnight success, let me tell you. And you can laugh at yourself while you're doing it.
And I will be a lot more supportive for you, madame, than I am to her, because she likes to talk a lot.
I don't talk a lot of smack. Here you go. Here's a question.
Smack is a good word.
Read.
Have you talked about the halter lead rope you offer and the advantages of it? If you did, I may just have not listened to that session yet. No, ma'am, we did not talk about our halter and lead rope set. We're not very salesy. We don't pitch
Unless you tell him the word free, then he's free 99, free 99, free 99. Like, preach, Michael Gas.
I'm not one to push merch. Most of our halters get sold like this. Somebody shows up to a clinic and sees a dozen horses get fixed with the halter, and then they're like, I want the magic halter that will fix every horse that it touches. It's like, okay.
There's somebody that's in here
I'm
that
not gonna
commented
argue.
that they didn't know that you were the MG behind the halter,
Boom.
right?
So the halter is simple. My father and I went through a dozen different configurations working the halter, and I was really, everything about my program, I just want to make it as simple as possible. So before, we were working with a halter, and then from there we were going to a Basel, and then from there we were going to, and I was just thinking, man, I wish it could be simpler, because every time you make a switch from, say, a halter to a hackamores, the 1,000 configurations, that's a whole lifetime of experience. You get into bits, that's a whole lifetime of experience. Most people at the time that I started my program with halters, they were just doing the groundwork. So they were getting the horse, giving the pressure with the halter, and then throwing the halter away and putting a snaffle in their mouth. Hot dang, you just told the horse to get the pressure in his face, and you're switching what you're doing right before you're riding. That doesn't make any sense to me. So we went through a dozen different halter combos and ended up with this. So you notice there's a couple extra knots. Number one, the big one, is the one on the front up here. And the reason that one's relevant is that one's the one that goes on the nose. So whenever you pull back, it actually wants to stop them. Most of them just have 2 knots up here, and whenever you pull back, it's just a rope on the nose. The 2 knots kind of go into no man's land. There's not a lot of pressure to stop the horse. Again, not because they're bad, it's just they're not designed to ride with. The next thing, the knots along the side here, people are, oh, there's pressure points under the chin. No, what? No, not at all. This is
Clip the halter.
This is simply to clip your reins.
Sorry, I can't talk.
It's okay. Simply
Concussion.
to clip the reins here. Other halters have a straight rope and your reins come all the way down here to the bottom. Well, the further down the halter you come, the least leverage you have. The higher the halter you come, the more pressure you have. So we like to clip our reins right here, which is the exact same place that the snaffle goes. It'll end up around the corner of their mouth. And then if they're being really tough or we're having to use our muscle, we stop and use our mind and clip to the nose. And that just gives us a little bit more torque. And the last thing that we've figured out about 5 years ago is before we were riding all these horses with this and starting horses and working horses, but it's meant to be big on the horse's face, to have a lot of margin of error. But then as we were getting into advanced work, it would slide up their face. It was too much margin of error. So on these bottom 2 knots, we would put a double-ended clip right above here. And obviously that makes it a good bit smaller, and it keeps it where it's supposed to. So now we can get as advanced as you want with this halter because it stays in one place. So if you really wanted to start to finish a horse just with a halter, you absolutely could. No problem. So many of our followers, they ride these halters everywhere. In the mountains, and chuck wagon race, on the beach, everywhere they go. They're riding in the Smoky Mountains. They come around the corner. Some real equestrian comes around with a bit and an English saddle, and they're like, you're in a halter? You're going to die. Believe it or not.
I went to an English show to take a horse that we had had in for training that was a jumping horse that had a serial bucking issue on the backside of the jump. And I wanted to go school that horse in that scenario for the owner so they could see that. And so I took it in a halter and I went into the warm-up arena. And every warm-up arena that I went into, everybody would leave. I was trying to work on traffic issues and bucking issues. And every arena I went into, all the traffic would leave because I was in a halter. So if you want to scare people, it's usually fun too.
I am not too much of a betting man. I would be willing to bet the people, our clients that are riding in the halter, are safer than the person that's riding around in a bit. Not because the bit is worse than a halter or a halter's better than. The difference is, since your brain is not under the assumption that the halter will save you, nobody watching this believes the magic halter will save you. You all believe, oh shit, you're riding in a halter? We're going to have to do the prep work to make sure it works. We're going to have to make sure the horse has brakes. We're going to have to make sure the horse respects it. We're going to have to make sure the horse will listen to it and obey it. Great. Most people buy a horse, the trainer says, here's the bit, and they never check the brake pads again. They never check the power steering fluid again. They're under the assumption that that bit will save them for the rest of the horse's natural life. That's not the case. If you buy a brand new truck, the best truck on the market, you still got to get the fluids changed. You still got to send it to get new brake pads. You still got to make sure it has power steering fluid. You still have to do the maintenance. So the assumption, because a horse is trained and you got the magic bit that it goes with, that it will forever do what you say and listen to you, is false. There's just no way around it. It's false. And if you've gone 5 years without any maintenance, great, but you're riding on borrowed time. Make sure you understand how the system works. You don't have to be a mechanic, but you have to know how it works so that you can see if there's anything going wrong. You can see the signs. Well, all we want for you guys, we don't care if you ride our halter, don't ride our halter, doesn't make a difference to us. We want you to just understand the signs before you end up hurt, because in our heart of hearts, we just don't want to see you hurt. We meet so many people that have been hurt, gotten hurt, lost their confidence, lost their fun, got out of horses, and all of these things were things that could have been avoided. All these disasters were disasters that if you knew the signs, you would have seen the signs 3, 4, 5 rides earlier before the thing happened. You would have seen it 2 minutes before it happened. You would have knew, hey, there's problems here. 4 rides before you got bucked up, hey, this horse is, he's starting to act funky. And that fear of the unknown, then once we fall off, we don't know why we fall off. We didn't see the signs, and now we're scared to get back on, and it ruins. We waste years of our capable riding life that we could really be enjoying the freedom of being on the back of a horse because we simply don't know the signs. And that's what we're here to do. And if that halter helps you, then great.
So Charlene, there's some conversations going on in the comments here about being nervous about sending videos and going through that process. And so she's basically talking about how she had a horse that had went through and passed but was still running into some issues on the trail. Like, do not be afraid to send us in videos. You are not going to feel stupid, look stupid. Like, we are horse people trying to help horse people. And like you said, at the end of the day, we want to give you the steps, tell you to stand here, do this different, pull here, add more pressure here, things that you might not see because you don't have the ability when you're out there working your horse to feel like you can just go back and forth between the video, which you can with the course because now you can download those and keep them on your phone, which is cool. And then you can do the audio, so you can have Michael in the back of your head saying, not send it, but
so that's the whole point, that we sent video after video of her face planting and having a concussion.
I didn't get a concussion.
We sent that just so you guys would feel confident showing us. We showed you ourselves first, flopping around like fish on top of the water, so you understand, hey, we are here for you guys. This is what we do for a living, full time, is help people around the world get better with their horses. So there's no question that you shouldn't ask. There's no video that you shouldn't send, because we're just real down to earth and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what you need to do. This would help you. Pick up your hand. Sit back. We understand that horsemanship, horse sense, is not common sense. Anybody who tells you different is lying or doesn't understand. If somebody tells you, oh, horse sense is common sense, it's only common sense if you already know it, well, then it's not common sense. Common sense is something that should be common, that you should be born with, that you should figure out. Horse sense and human sense does not go together. It's actually, the good horsemanship is the opposite of what your brain is telling you to do. Everything about it. The horse is super spooky and super hot. You need to be louder. You need to be more energetic so he quiets down and listens to you. If you're on the horse and you get off balance, you need to sit back and loosen up on the reins. Horsemanship is common sense is sit forward and grab more reins. That's why we have so much work to do. That's why our work will never be done. It's because common sense and horse sense don't go together. So we're trying to help you guys understand, hey, this is what you do.
Sorry, I'm reading through these comments. So we're going to do more of a Q&A. I'm going to add a bunch of these questions for tomorrow onto here as well. But I don't want to take up too terribly much of your time because it is Sunday. So I had scheduled to kind of take you guys through the Horse Help Success Path, but then I forgot that I was going to tell you about Tarzan. So we're going to have a little fun, and I'm going to show you the first couple steps that we took on my completely feral picked up from the wild in Oregon Mustang.
My only input on this story, and y'all are about to go down a path down memory lane. I'm going to get, babe, you're going to get a Mustang? Yeah, but don't worry, baby. Don't worry. I'll sell it. I'm going to win, and we're going to win the auction, and we're going to sell it, and we're going to make a lot of money. So, awesome, baby. That's great. She's already started a bunch of colts with me. I think you're prepared. You're ready. You want to colt start domesticated horses before you...
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
cold start horses that have seen people before you try to cold start someone who has never seen people, because you are not a people, you are an alien at that point. That's nor here nor there. She said, I'm going to get a big white horse because I don't want a horse that I have to wash. I already got King, the Briar horse. I'm not going to have a paint. So when I'm up there, I'm going to get a paint so I know that I sell him. I said, okay, honey, that's a great idea. They went on a road trip. They come back. They're backing into the round pen. And she's with her head out of the window, backing into the round pen. Oh, baby, you're doing such a good job. You're doing such a good job, Tarzizi. You're doing awesome. And I'm thinking, he's alive. That's all he's doing. He's trapped in a cage. All he's doing is breathing. He's doing nothing. What do you mean he's doing a good job? I was like, we're owning another horse. I can already, day one. She had been at the farm for
I've never touched him at this point.
For 5 minutes. She hasn't touched the horse. The horse is still on the trailer. And I'm thinking, we're getting another horse. I can already see. You're doing such a good job. Doing what? Standing, breathing. That's awesome. He has 4 feet and a tail. He's doing great at that. You don't even know this horse yet. But yes, that is the beginning of Tarzan. And I knew from that moment that I would know Tarzan for a very, very long time after that. Like, you didn't even make it like one day. It wasn't even like the first magical ride. The first time that you rode a wild horse and there was
I already decided I was keeping him before I touched him. It was not a good
magical
scenario.
Moment. No, it was none of that. It was none of that.
This magic.
Backing up into the trailer. Hasn't even been released yet. You're doing such a great job, baby.
My face hurts because it's so true.
Well, you guys enjoy this journey, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Good luck.
Okay, so we're going to try this. You guys are going to have to let me know if the audio is working correctly. I'm going to screen share. All right, so to do this, bear with me. I need to probably take my face off of that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's see if you all are able to hear the audio on this. Bear with me for 1 second so I can keep up the comments. I have to keep getting rid of whoever this person is that's posting comments that's not supposed to be posting comments. All right, so can everybody see my screen okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're able to see everything properly. Let's see, I can see Jen's last comment. Good boy, Tarzi. Okay, awesome. So now let me know if you can hear the audio. Let me know if you guys have audio on
All
there.
right.
Say,
Hello, everybody.
Sound
This
good.
is Kelsey's Mustang. This is Tarzan.
Yes. Okay.
He's she's getting.
All right. So this is Tarzan.
He's a big guy.
When I picked him up from the facility.
Oh, sorry.
We drove up to Oregon, and he is out of the Paisley Desert herd. And so we went up, and they have a huge facility. They run all the horses up, and I think I might have shared some of that here on the next video. But they run all of the horses through the chute to where you can look them over. They bring everybody in. They run them through so you can take your first couple choices, and then we'll bring them back through. So this allows you to get up close and personal, to look and see their hooves, see their body, see if they have any lameness, see if they have any injuries. And so you're able to do that and kind of evaluate them up close and personal. So having this, I was able to look at him. You can kind of see and hear how nervous he is. He's not been around people, hasn't went through that process. So prior to this was at the beginning of February. And he was collected from the wild, gathered from the wild November 15th. He was gilded on December 18th. And then I picked him up the beginning of February. So up until then, he was just out there in their holding facility getting fed. They gild them, they vaccinate them, deworm them, go ahead and do that whole fun stuff. And then they just kind of stay out there, be feral till they get adopted. The way that the Mustang makeovers work is this one was a little bit different. For this Mustang makeover, you were actually allowed to pick your horse because it was during COVID. So that's when we decided we wanted to go up to Oregon. I wanted to do this competition. I wanted to help create one of the highest selling Mustang makeover horses. So going into this was my idea. And I wasn't going to get attached. Like he said, I was going to pick a white horse. So you can kind of see how aggressive he is right here. We kind of talked about this a little bit too. By putting a halter on him here, it was going to be a lot easier of a process than me, since I'm not a capable roper. I didn't want that to be a traumatic experience for him. If you're good with a rope, you can make it a much gentler experience. But by putting a catch line on him, putting a halter on him, that was able for me to get a hold of that and to make contact with him a little bit earlier and start working through the process. If somebody can put a comment in there, let me know you can still hear me okay on the audio, and I will move on to the next video here in a second after they get the halter on him. So they're using a string to help put the halter on and to keep the guy who's putting it on him from being in a vulnerable position and getting hurt, getting struck during that process. So right now you guys are following our Facebook page. This is our Team MG Facebook group, and I wanted to document the process through this. I didn't realize how attached I would get so quickly. I don't know if that's just me or any person who goes and picks up a feral horse that they're going to be the first one to do everything with, but just having him in the trailer on the ride home, I knew that he was going to be a huge part of my life. I'm going to skip forward here to them loading them into the trailer. So I believe we've already loaded Stitch at this point, which was my friend Kat Zimmerman of CZ Mustang. She also picked up one while we were up there. Let me pass forward. So they run them down through the high fences so nothing can get out. They just run them down through the chute and then up onto the trailer. So this is when Michael talks about herding a horse like cattle onto a trailer. If they're not domesticated, if they don't give to pressure, if they don't know how to tie, do not tie your horse in a trailer. It's much better to just load them like they're cattle than it is to put them in a bad situation. So it was in this moment that I knew that I was keeping my horse. No, it took a little bit longer than that. But this was a brand new trailer that we had picked up because I didn't have a Mustang certified trailer, so you have to have something that has a back end that'll open up completely. You can't use a slant load. You can't use a nicer horse trailer to go pick them up. You have to have something that they can just run them on there. He actually ended up like destroying this trailer on the way home. There were hoof prints everywhere. He was very wicked with his back end. He was a little bit of a kicker. So I'm going to scroll up here. So these are some pictures that we took on the day that we were gathering. So this is Tarzan and the herd. He was a little bit of a jerk out there, so that was another reason that I was like, okay, I'm going to get him. I won't get attached. Everything will be fine. This is how they ran them in, so I didn't think about the fact that we were going to Oregon in the winter. Definitely recommend doing your research on that before you go up to the north. I guess I was just so excited about doing the makeover that I did not realize that, you know, it was super cold and super snowy and all the things. So, let's see. That's acting like it's... Hold on one second. There we go. Alright.
Go, Tarzan, go!
I think it's frozen. I had already named him at this point. Hold on one second. Why is it frozen? Escape. Okay. For some reason that video is not wanting to load. Bear with me for just a second. I don't know what video is going currently. I scrolled to something. Are you guys able to see the screen of the horses running?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Alright, so they run them down through the sorting chute. So they'll bring everybody down and let you pick from the group. So you had a certain age range that you had to pick from for the Mustang makeover. From the time that you pick them up, you have 100 days to get them from wild to domesticated and compete with them. And at the end of the Mustang makeover, it is required that you sell the horse if you
Go, Tarzan, go!
So you do get to keep 50% of that money. But the problem is, if you get attached and you go ahead and decide to compete, if you want to buy that horse back, you have to buy them back for whatever value they go for. So depending on how big the horse, beautiful the horse is, how good a job that they do in the competition, is going to determine how much value that horse goes for. So I had kind of decided that it was much easier for me to pay the $125 adoption fee than it was to run the risk of him getting so high that I couldn't afford to buy him back. So that's ultimately the reason I decided to withdraw him from the competition, because I wasn't really willing to risk losing him during that process. Again, we're going to get more in depth in the training here in just a second, but I figured you all would like to kind of see that journey of them bringing him in and us getting him picked out from that process. You notice he stands out just a little bit. Stitch is also in this herd, which is the Mustang that Kat brought back. All right, so we're going to scroll up. This was Tarzan in the trailer. All right, this is where I unloaded him into our round pen.
Good job.
This is me baby talking him, as you can.
Go, Tarzan, go.
So anytime that we bring, there is still a video going somewhere. Pause. That one's paused. This one's paused. I've got another video running somewhere on here that I can't find. We're going to make this a little bit easier, so whatever video is running will stop. All right. Give it 1 second. We'll pull up all of these. All right. Much better. Now hopefully you guys don't hear anything going in the background. Scroll back up. Okay, so I get him home, and now we get to start him through this process. He got to kind of hang out in the round pen. I put some tarps up so you could kind of see those. That was the first night that we got home. And this is the recap of the first day. So the next morning I started working with him. This is where I decided that Kelsey's Mustang is officially a failed foster and that I will be keeping him forever. So on the first day, we learned first touch. I removed his tag. I taught him how to groom and be braided. He learned how to tie, how to lead. He did preschool through 4th grade. He was saddled. He had his first ride, and he got 1 hour of tie time. So this is kind of a recap of that process. So this is him all braided up with his little feral self. This is me giving him his first kiss. And this was a picture of his first ride. So I've got some videos as we go up here a little bit in this process. So this is actually my first time touching him.
Oh.
I won't make you watch all of it, but it was a pretty amazing moment. It was in that moment that I knew I was keeping him forever. Really, I knew that before I touched him, but we're not going to tell Michael because he thinks I have a problem. Such a sweet big boy. Now keep in mind this is the same horse that was trying to strike the guy for putting the halter on him. So this is a little bit of a video of our first ride. It's pouring down rain. So for those of you that don't want to ride your horse in the rain or around the rain in general, keep in mind this was this feral Mustang's first ride, period. And he already knew from the very beginning that we don't take any of those factors into consideration. This is him learning what the soccer ball is. So just like kindergarten and preschool, you saw that our round pen looks like a redneck's backyard. Hopefully the rain's not too terribly loud for you guys there. So in this ride, we did walk, trot, and I believe just a couple strides of canter with him trying to figure everything out. I didn't want to feel like I was having to push. I wanted to free him up just a little bit more before we did a ton of canter work.
Keep on the direction you're going. There, you can start putting more pressure in the bend. So when you bend it, you can start looking for.
Have my coach in the background.
You're just gonna systematically start putting more pressure and bigger releases whenever he moves off.
So with him being a little bit on the duller side, you wanted to free them up and not feel like you were having to kick,
There you go.
crop.
One more, and that's it.
He was so feral. Look at all his knots. At this point, I haven't groomed his tail because he's, still a feral horse. Let's see. So here's some different things that he learned. So this was my second day with him. He learned saddling while tied in the tack room. So basically after that first ride, I taught him how to lead in that process. So I was able to take him and lead him to a stall, keep him in a stall, catch him back to bring him back out. So he actually saddled in the tack room instead of in the round pen, which is where he stayed the first night before I worked with him. Long lining, learned how to push a soccer ball, go through the cowboy curtains. We did walk, trot, canter over obstacles, mounted shooting prep, and 5 hours of tie time. So 2 of those hours were in the round pen, 3 of the hours were in the stall where he had free choice hay and water. We have a stall that's set up where you can tie them, and it has a strong post, so he's not gonna pull down a sidewall or anything if he spooks. So we'll hop on here. You can kind of see me working with some long lines with him. The harness I'm wearing over my chest is my GoPro, so I was trying to get some good footage. I got smart and wore gloves because the first day when I was teaching him how to lead, he took me redneck skiing, which is always super fun. We'll pause that one, see what this one is. So this is working on doing canter for the first time. So we had gotten the first couple strides the last time. So whenever you have a horse that doesn't have forward, instead of making them feel like you have to kick them to go, Michael's going to reinforce from the ground what I'm asking from the saddle so I can ask easier and gentler and not have to keep pushing the horse. So he's going to help me get a couple strides of canter in here. So he'll reinforce kind of what I've already taught from the ground. He's walking freely. This is ride number 2. So at this point, we still kind of leave all the obstacles and things out in the arena just to give him a little bit of obstacles to work on. Again, he was feral, so none of this was something that he's ever seen or been used to. So it's really cool to watch them learn and absorb all of the things that we go through during this process. So I'm going to start asking for the trot. So we're trying to teach him here where I can cluck and kick. And so I'll cluck if he doesn't go. I'll add feet. If I cluck and I bump him and he doesn't go, Michael does the flag stick to let him know that just means go forward. So we do that same thing. He'll keep reinforcing that when I ask first. So the reason that you do this in succession, working together, is you don't want that horse to get dependent off needing somebody on the ground. This is just kind of as a crutch to help you go through that process and to reinforce what you're asking without having to tick that horse off or make that horse be bothered that you're just asking. So he just shakes that, reinforces what I'm asking. Now we're going to ask for more. So I'm going to kick, cluck. He'll reinforce that canter. Good. And then he dies down, and then I stop riding. And he figures out, okay, all I needed to do is do those couple strides of canter. Good job. We turn, we do the same thing to the other direction, and that's all he does for cantering for the first couple steps. So that's the one thing we talk about, not riding the try out of them and really letting them enjoy their job. Let's see. So this was mounted shooting prep. Somebody throw in the comments, let me know you're still here. I see Deanne said this makes me cry. It definitely was a very heartfelt experience going through the whole process. Just to be the first one to break that touch barrier and be the first person to touch him and love on him and teach him that people are good and that this can be a fun experience was just totally game changing. So this was me introducing mounted shooting and going through that whole process with him. Again, this is session number 2 of working with him. Feral, undomesticated horse. And this is a real gun. So this is, so you'll see that there's not, prior to this is one of our bigger guns. So we start with like a cap gun that's not quite as loud. But you can see him sitting there completely relaxed in tie time with a foot raised up in the air, sitting there all nice and comfortable. Again, just going through the process, going through the steps. Let's see, I don't know what this video is. Oh, this is me teaching him how to push the soccer ball. Having too much fun with him. All right. We'll go on to the next one. We'll pause all of these. So, day number 3. The reason this says day number 6 is it took 3 days for me to get home with him. So, on this day, he was able to be caught without having a catch line. So I was able to take off the lead rope that was dragging. I did a full body grooming session in the tack room, introduced him to spray bottles, aerosol cans, touching his legs, walking behind him, unknotting his tail, teaching him how to clip. We had his first vet appointment. He did have a little bit of a cough coming home from the trip. So we wanted to make sure that he was okay, and it changed a lot of temperatures on the way home. So we did walk, trot, canter over obstacles. I introduced him to a back cinch, taught him to flex, taught him to steer a little better, intro to more aids. So we were bumping more with my legs. I introduced him to a crop. Phased out the flag person that I used the day before, so he was relying on me, not on the flag person. Push a soccer ball under saddle, go through the cowboy curtains under saddle, bounce a soccer ball under saddle, taught him how to rope and started him through that process, taught him the come get me trick, and he did 3 hours in the tack room of tie time. So this was his tail that I brushed out. This is me jamming out with him in our tack room, so he's already getting used to super loud noises. He likes country. Now he's kind of more of a rock and roll horse, but it's fine. This is the difference between Stitch and Tarzan. So Tarzan is an abnormally tall Mustang, which is another reason that I was super attached to him. He's 15'2" and has ginormous feet, which is not normal for most Mustangs. Let's see. So this is him just chilling out, hanging out during tie time. So I left a tripod on him. That's me walking up from the back. And we have these H posts that we tie to in our tack room and really all around our facility. And it's just an easier way to tie where you can just easily do, it's called a half hitch instead of having to tie a knot. If you have a really talented horse that can untie things, you have to add more crafty knots because they'll definitely sit there and play with that and get untied. But this was just him kind of hanging out with some tie time. This is him learning how to clip for the first time. So Michael is good at clipping. I make everything look like a chop job. So I asked him to trim and make him look pretty and me not cut out half of his hair, especially with him being as fluffy as he is. I did not want him to have chunks missing out. You'll see that he's already got this mark on his forehead. He did that on the trailer on the way home, panicking. So Michael is clipping him up, making him look pretty. Again, you see all these things that we typically make excuses for our horses or make excuses for ourselves, and we don't do these things on horses that are broke, that are domesticated, that have already gone through this entire process, and here we are 3 days in with the feral horse and just making all of these things not a big deal from the beginning. And that's the thing, is building these experiences and making everything super positive, and see how much freer moving he is. Let me pull this video up. So look at how much, we've worked on. We phased out our flag person. I've added a crop. I've added more legs, and how much more freely he's wanting to move out and go forward. So I'm able to disengage his hindquarters, pop him with the crop, introduce him to that. I'm able to braid his tail without getting kicked. And you don't even need a flag person at this point because you've taught him in progression how to move off that pressure and go forward. There's Michael cantering. He was all about the stop and understanding that he was doing the right things. This is me working on the come get me trick. I wasn't attached to him at all. It's fine. I say I'm working on the come get me trick. I think I'm just playing with him. Yeah, no, I'm just playing with him. There's a lot of time that I spent doing all the things. So this is, I think that we are on ride number 3 at this point. This is us playing with the soccer ball, playing with the cowboy curtains, bouncing the soccer ball off of him. Again, still riding, doing everything in the halter. And I got a lot of crap on social media whenever we first started posting stuff because people don't know our program, they don't care to look at our program, they don't care that we have steps. And so when they saw that I rode him on the first day, it was, oh, you missed steps, oh, you've done all these things bad, oh, you must have abused the horse, you must have done something wrong. I promise you, the steps that you see here, the steps that we see with every single horse, there was nothing missed. He answered the right answers to the questions. He passed the test, and so we moved on. And this same horse that I still own, that went through the same process, is now beginner friendly. He's gentle. He has a job. He won his first roping buckle last month. He's done all these amazing things, and it just is a true testament to the system and to the program that from a horse that did not know but to fear humans, but from the very beginning, that he could go through this process and have a very successful life and a very successful start. And I have his title, so I will be keeping him forever and ever and ever. So this is me working through a push obstacle, which is the cowboy curtains. So I'm going to keep facing him up, redirecting, add a little pressure, and there we are. My little feral pony. All right, let's see what else is on here. Oh, so this is me attempting to be a roper. So I'm not knowing what I'm doing, and I'm roping a bucket. Oh, look at me, got it. Yep, definitely not. I already watched all of these. Let me pause these so they're not trying to follow us all the way through. Okay. So this is day number 7. This is ride number 4. So we worked on adding a tighter back cinch. So I want him to be a trick riding horse. So from the very beginning, I'm introducing him to the back cinch. Walk, trot, canter over obstacles. I introduced him to spins, pushing a soccer ball a little faster, drag a tarp, some more roping prep, come get me trick, and blanketing prep because it's cold and I want him to start losing some of his hair and get thinned out before the Mustang makeover, which I still thought I was going to compete at this point. This is him working on dragging a tarp. You can tell that he's a little bit of unsure about it, but we're just going to go through the same steps. I'm holding it in the same hand that I can disengage towards it so I can face the obstacle. What you don't want to happen is put this in the opposite hand or allow that horse to turn away from the obstacle because then it's chasing you. So if he has to face his fears just like this, so as I turn him, he turns back into it. I'm going to send him forward and step over it. The cool thing about tarps is they rip, they're cheap. You don't have to worry about getting in a bind with it because if anything happens, it's going to rip off. Let's see. I'm roping a soccer ball. That's not entertaining. And then I'm playing soccer a little bit faster in this one. So I imagine that we're going to trot a little bit and chase it a little bit faster. Horses that, especially colt starts, are really fun when they have some kind of motivation or some kind of game. So if you're trying to teach them to go forward and you have something like a soccer ball, it's really fun because you can see them be really engaged in what they're doing. You see he gets a little uncomfortable with the soccer ball behind him. So I'm just going to keep going back forward, approaching it, letting it go behind us. You can get that soccer ball going and let it come up behind you, get in front of it, and get them used to things touching them where they're not supposed to get, used to getting touched or getting bumped where they don't usually get bumped. Again, treating it like a push obstacle. Gonna make him go through the cowboy quarters, right and left, till he goes through. Awesome. All right, we'll scroll up here. Let's see, so things we learned today, we added some sport boots, we learned how to pick up our feet, we wore a blanket, we did ride number 5 in the covered arena, so we've left the round pen at this point. This was our first ride with another horse in the arena, first trail ride solo, cross mud, water under saddle, fun obstacle course by the barn in hand. Started working on the front feet on the pedestal because I want this horse to do all kinds of tricks for the competitions. The earlier you can start trick training, liberty training, the easier it is to get a bunch of hours in. And then total tie time was 6 hours. So we did free choice hay and water under a roof. So this was him during tie time. This is one of our tie stalls where we can keep hay and water in front of them so they can get some extra time being in there. It's him with him. He hasn't had a bath at this point. So this is us working in hand, doing some obstacles.
How you doing? Put your little mustache in your boots. Oh boy.
This is a mattress.
Touch it again.
So anytime that you're
Touch it again.
working with a horse through the mattress, it's always fun.
Touch it
Usually
again.
we just start
Good
him under
boy.
saddle and do it. But I was out there
Good boy.
playing with this and figured
Good
that we'd have a
boy.
little
Touch
bit
it
of fun.
Good.
So it's squishy.
Good job.
And when you're riding over
The big
it,
squishy.
it's
It's so
always
squishy.
fun because they step on it and they get
That big
uncomfortable
brave
because
man.
it feels funny.
Good job.
You have to excuse my baby talk.
I know. The mountain lion again. All
Yeah,
right.
he was more concerned about the cat than he was the mattress that he was
Good
walking
boy.
over.
Good boy, Squishy. Good job.
And it's
You're so
cold out, so
handsome.
it's a cold,
You're
wet
something.
mattress at this point.
Good boy. Good boy. Good job. Such a handsome man. That's a handsome
Okay,
man.
maybe I was a little ate up with
Big
this
brave
horse.
boy.
It's fine.
Big brave boy. Scary curtains. Snow. What'd you sign up for? Pretty boy.
That's him working on the pedestal.
Big man.
Pedestal with distractions.
Pretty boy.
I'm drinking all the rules with my faces all next to the things that could sit back and be bad, but drink gold.
Oh, so this is me breaking all of the rules when Michael tells you to watch out for pinch points and pain points and don't be in a position where they can hurt you if they sit back. And here I am snuggling my feral Mustang.
But he doesn't like them. We're gonna force him to be a cookie monster.
At this point, he doesn't know what treats are and he's trying to figure it out. So in his stall, I have this bucket full of all these different treats for him to experiment with and see what he likes. And it took him a little bit to figure out what treats are, and now he's a treat monster.
Thank you. So damn handsome.
Michael was a little jealous of the Mustang for a while. Let's see. So we're going to scroll up. Day 9. It's going to be ride number 6. So he's able to pick up and hold his hooves. Let's see. So his prep work before I rode him, it was 20 degrees outside. And for ride number 6, the only prep work I had to do with him was kindergarten, backed him up, and did first grade 2 times each direction, and then I got on him. So at this point, that was my only prep work to have to ride him. Did a come get me trick to mount and ride off. First time asking for a whoa, so that's the first time I started adding some brakes. Standing quietly under saddle with distractions, first trail ride with another horse, and rode past barking dogs. So these were his before pictures that we had to send in. This was him walking on a loose rein on a trail ride with Stitch. And Stitch also went through the same program, same amount of days with Cat. So at this point, we're the same amount of days through the program. And this is her taking her horse out, going through the same steps. She also did all of her own prep work, all of her own riding. So at this point, all we've had is Michael for clipping and
Say hi,
coaching
Stitch.
us if needed.
This is Stitch. He's a 4-year-old Mustang from Oregon out of the Paisley Desert Herd. And this is Tarzan. Tarzan is a water puddle drinker, a 6-year-old Mustang out of the Paisley Desert Herd. And they are loving their first trail ride together. Both walking on a loose rein and halters, another puddle. Good boys.
This is like going through a memory lane in a movie. In case you're wondering if you get lost on a trail ride in Mississippi, just tell them
Big smiles.
if you play Marco
Good boy,
Polo,
Stitch.
the only thing you can tell them that you see are trees.
Tarzan, stay on the road. I'm not driving. Stay on the road.
Distracted. This is my feral Mustang,
Good boy.
ride number 6 on a trail ride in a halter. on a loose
Handsome
rein
boy.
with no instruction. All right. So now we should start getting fun here. So this is day number 10 since I picked him up, ride number 7. So in this one, we introduced earplugs, we introduced more mounted shooting prep, we introduced bubbles, lights, fogs, dark house. I rode him with all Ford sports boots on, walk trot canter on a solo trail ride by himself, obstacles in the small outdoor arena, front feet on the pedestal while being ridden, and trailer loading, posting, and bit prep. So I introduced him to a snaffle. This is him sitting tied. This is us out on the trail ride, trotting.
Good boy. Canter. Good boy. Good job, big man. Good job, big man. Good boy. Good job. Easy trot. Easy trot. Trot. Good boy. Walk. And walk. Puddles. Good boy. Good job. Get past the puddles, you little puddle drinker. Just want to go see them just to see them. Good boy. Try. Fire in the hole.
So this is the big gun.
All right, ready? Yep. Fire in the hole. Good boy. Good boy.
And you can't see
Good
over here on the
boy.
side, Stitches over here
all the smoke.
with cat's horses over here on the left
Tarzan.
somewhere.
Good boy, Stitchy.
So 2 feral
Good job.
Mustangs, less than 10
Good
days
job.
in domestication. This is our trailer loading.
Follow your mama.
So a lot of times people like to stress about trailer loading. And so often when you fix the steps in the Respect series and you get them comfortable and confident doing all the things in that, how easy it is for them to figure out the trailer loading process. So this is his first time getting into a trailer. There was no prep work before this other than the Respect series. Big stretch.
It's just like the pedestal. Good boy. Good job.
Good boy.
Good boy.
All right. So pause this. All right, now we're day 11, ride number 8, rode to the obstacle course for the first time. So we're barely over a week under saddle at this point. Did all the obstacles on the obstacle course besides for the finesse obstacles, which are the more advanced obstacles. Rode by the 4-wheeler, shot off of him with the 45, so that was officially like on him for mounted shooting prep. Total time was 2 hours. He had a farrier appointment, his grooming tack, and his mounted shooting prep time. So Michael has a big foot. So Tarzan has a very large foot. So he is on these, I believe. Let me look what I put here. He's a size 3, so if you look at how big his foot is, he's going to be this big one here on the right.
Oh yeah, that's super slick. He's so sure-footed, it's kind of hard to tell.
So this is me taking him.
Good boy.
I wanted to do a lot of obstacles in hand too, even if he had already done them under saddle, because I needed him to do some trick stuff and some trick training. So the more that I could do with him under saddle, from the ground too, it was already prepping him for this.
That's a good boy. That's a good boy.
Thank you. I'm not sure who just left the comment. I still remember following your and Tarzan's journey and being in awe. It definitely is. That's the only reason I'm showing this to you guys, is it gives you a different perspective that things are possible. Looking from the outside in and seeing this done with horses that are under saddle is one thing. But taking a horse that was completely feral and hadn't been touched by people through this process, through these steps, is just absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing this journey with Tarzan, but understand that Stitch with Cat is also going through this same program at the same time. And you know, she hadn't been in Michael's program. She had just kind of came here to go through our academy program and start through that process, and was able to take instruction and walk through all these steps.
Do you want any more pressure from behind?
No.
Okay.
No, he'll be good. Thank you, though. He's smart enough. Good boy. Good
There
job.
you go.
Good job. I know it's
So
good. You got this.
confident and comfortable with his feet and trying to figure out where to place them. I don't know with him being a Mustang if he was just so much more sure-footed, but it was definitely reassuring for me
Boy.
from a trick riding perspective to have a horse
You're
that watches his
almost
feet.
there.
There you go, handsome. Good job. Get that foot all the way on that platform before you put it down, bud. Got some big feet. Good boy. Good job. Come on. You got this. You got this. I've got you. Come on. I've got you. Big boy.
The amount of baby talking that I have done
I
with
got
this
you.
horse.
Yeah. Good boy. Come on.
He says, man, humans are weird. I was just minding myself out in the wild, and now here I am
That's
being
my boy.
overly domesticated and
That's
walking
my
up steps
boy.
with somebody who likes to tell me that I'm
Wasn't
pretty.
So scary, was it?
Good job.
Mama didn't groom you very well.
Looking at these obstacles like, what in the world? So remember we talk about right and left and putting them back on a loose rein. So if he goes one direction, I pull the opposite direction. And it becomes the same with every obstacle. So when you go through that process and you teach them how to go through push obstacles, once they understand that process, it doesn't matter if it's tires, it doesn't matter if it's tarps, it doesn't matter if it's water, it's the same process for everything. And so they very quickly realize, okay, we're gonna go right and left, and then straight is the answer. Forward is the answer. I'm reassuring him that I'm not gonna let the tires eat him. He's not so sure. He's not too convinced. So if he goes one direction or the other, I'm going to pull him back straight and send him forward. So I'm having a little bit more leniency with him going through this process than I would with a horse that's under saddle. I would add a little bit more pressure to a horse that's already under saddle and being ridden. I might be babying him just a little bit because I'm kind of attached at this point. Good job. So if he would have just ran through that, I would have just turned him back and sent him back through it again. I would have just disengaged him and sent him right back through it. We've added so much stuff out to the obstacle course since then. Definitely memory lane for sure. Oh, fail with your big clunky feet.
Oh, he's gonna step on nice.
Yeah. So this is me working on.
Whenever Kelsey goes and sees her mother, we'll get that stuff wrong.
Okay.
There's more smoke coming out of his nose than there is out of the gun. Good boy. So it's a big deal for mounted shooting when you actually get to the bigger gun, because then you have the fire, you have the smoke, and you have the noise, and you have to have the ear plugs in so they don't get tinnitus. But a lot of times they're already desensitized to the noise at that time, but the smell and having that close to them and then seeing the fire is usually what makes things a little bit more difficult.
Let me see how hard it's put down in it.
Such a curious little booger.
Try not to slip, okay? Photographer's not gonna get you.
Good boy. Get his big monster feet trimmed.
Over the center of the obstacle. Thank you. Good job.
Good boy. Again, having tunes. Gotta have our tunes. Alright, we should be getting to inflatable time on here. Here we go. Alright, so this was fun. So 12 days since I've picked him up. And this is going to be ride number 9. So we are less than 2 weeks under saddle. So we picked up all 4 feet with hoof pick without any struggle. Deworming, leaf blower, square dancing, which is the advanced version of first grade with tarp on his rump. First grade and square dancing in the unicorn suit. I rode him in a unicorn suit, prepped him for sheath cleaning and scrubbing between his legs, rebraided his mane and tail, took his halter off in the stall, so now I can catch him without having a halter on him, and 4 hours of tie time. So we're gonna click on this. I think this is leaf blower. Where is... Good boy. Going through first grade with the unicorn suit on and him looking at me like, what is wrong with my human? There is something not right, something not okay about unicorns and people. But we did so many things that were over the top that everything was just normal. Like, he did not look at me any stranger with this than he did with all the other things that I had done. So right here I'm working on square dancing, which is where I'm going to ask for his shoulder, ask for his hindquarters, ask for his shoulder, ask for his hindquarters, now that he's got the basic first grade down pat. I'm going to mount prep a little bit. So the fun thing about the unicorn suit is you have to bite the zipper. If you don't bite the zipper, you can't see where you're at.
Boy.
He's looking at me like, what is wrong with this human?
You want me to get on him, Maddie? Or going up?
You think you can mount up like that?
Huh?
You think you can mount up like that?
Yeah.
If you,
This is one of
if
those.
you keep your head up.
This is
your
one of
back
those
straight.
those send it moments. Yeah, if you think I can do it, go for it.
First and see.
Give it a go.
Get up, get down, get up, get down. The problem is,
It'd be cool if you could figure it out where you can do it in a cold starting competition.
which I did. I did it in a colt starting competition, and they didn't even care. Trying to multitask and that and be flexible and not put yourself in a bad situation.
That one has like better legs for that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't worry about your tail, it'll be all right.
Oop, I go back.
Do it. Rick.
So the thing you have to be careful about with the unicorn costume is not the fact that it's a unicorn costume, but the fact that you
Not
have
sketchy at all.
a feral Mustang and your tail is hanging on the horse's
That's
butt.
appropriate.
We just asked the
Doesn't
same
look
way,
pop.
same steps. He's like, what is wrong with people? I don't understand. I haven't even been under saddle for 2 weeks. I haven't been touched by people for 2 weeks, and she's riding me around in a unicorn costume.
Baby, that horse is so smart. The horse is so smart.
He's making it funny
Okay.
because people tell us all the time that if we have a horse in for training and they do all this crazy stuff, even though every horse does all these crazy things, that the horse must just be smart. Which he is smart, don't get me wrong, but
First grade's looking good.
a lot of it's in the program. 99% of it's in the program. All right, let's see. What cool stuff do we do after this? This is out having him lead behind the four-wheeler. Had his first bath. Had a day off. Let's see, we did long lining and a snaffle bit, ride number 10, rode along the road, chased cows, introduced him to the lay down, introduced him to the sit. Let's see what else on here. Oh, this was me. This is me messing up with the long lines. So, you just get to a point that you get a good stopping point and grab your reins back again. One of these is going. There we go. Sorry, I didn't know which one was going. Let's go back to here. I think I messed up here too. Working on backing up. Using the long lines, getting him to understand.
Or head to Pillsbury.com. Pillsbury, made at home.
I always had a really loud radio going whenever I was working him. So, we're working on the laydown. So our laydown program, if you're not using ropes, is you're going to teach the horse to drop their head, teach the horse to drop their head, tapping their belly, teach the horse to drop their head, tap their belly, raise a foot. Then you want them to drop their head, raise their foot, hold their foot up, drop their head, raise their foot, tap the other foot, and they start looking for the bow or the kneel. And so I videoed through that process. This is day one, just teaching him to drop his head and then to drop his head using the cue on his belly. So if he doesn't understand, then I ask with the halter again, tap his belly, ask with the halter to get him to drop his head. So I just want him to get comfortable keeping his head down and getting comfortable and confident with that. This is us going past, riding along the road for the first time. Looking at all the things. Chasing cows. Look at his little ears. Like, what in the world? He's like, what? I get to chase them? This is great.
Boy.
Working on the
Good
sit.
sit.
He is
Good
so hairy.
boy.
So much hair at this point.
Good boy. Good job. Okay. Okay. Good boy. Good boy.
Little dewormer. Oh, I let him do some tie time with the bit so he could understand what a full cheek snaffle is. Alright. Let's see. So, day 15. We didn't ride him. This was an off day today. I cleaned his stall with him in it. He ate all of his grain, which with the undomesticated horses, a lot of times they take a little bit to get introduced to grain. Some horses take a little bit to get introduced to water because they're so used to having rainwater that it's weird for them to have anything that's not rainwater. And then I introduced him to being Bearpack, aka my jungle gym. So this is what his bucket looked like when I was trying to figure out, thank you, Roxanne, trying to get him to figure out what kind of treat that he wanted. So there's apples in here, there's yellow apples, Granny Smith apples, red apples. There's alfalfa cubes, alfalfa pellets, apple flavored treats, molasses flavored treats, molasses cookies, apple cookies, and like all the different flavors in between. So I would just leave this and let him kind of pick through and see what he was that he wanted to eat. This was him working on his sit.
All right, we're gonna break down step 1, tap the ground. He dropped his head because he knows when we tap the ground, the next thing that we're gonna do is tap his belly. Tapping the ground is a pre-cue. Now we're tapping that belly and tapping up to make a change. Even if the horse doesn't know what to do it until they're uncomfortable or they get a little upset so that they find the answer. If you do it too softly and too easily, the horse has no reason to look for the answer. So this is an undomesticated Mustang, you know what, a week and a half into training. Your saddle horse should be able to take some tapping on the belly, tapping on the leg without trying to eat you. We're going to move him off again so he doesn't get restless. Then as soon as we break levels, that horse should already be thinking head down. When we start tapping, there we go. Tap the ground again. Tap the ground, see if he'll pick up his leg. Tap it in front of his leg. Hey, there we go. Good job. That's what we're looking for there. We just want to be able to break levels and that horse turns into a pointer dog. What I mean, head down, picking that leg up. Tap in front of his foot. Harder, harder. There we go. Tap again. There we go. Now this time, tap his leg and see if you can get him to hold it for a fraction of a second longer. And touch. So when it's up, pet him. There you go. When his leg's in the air, see if you can pet it and see if you can keep it there. There we go. There you go. Pet, 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 and release. Walk off. Walk forward. Walking forward is your release because if you stick there in one place, the horses tend to have the habit of sucking backwards, which is not awesome. And that right there is really what day 2 of that laydown is going to look like. One more time for the fans at home. Tap on the dirt, tap, 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 tap. Head comes down. Now let's tap on that dirt in front of us. There we go. Look, he's already associating head down, leg up. One more time. Let's pet that foot when it's in the air. Pet that foot. There you go. Pet, 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 pet.
Me and my amazing timing over here.
And release and walk off. Good job, Tarzan. Guess.
So I'm working on prepping him for bareback and hopping up on him. He's finally starting to get white now that I can give him baths. He was so dirty for so long. And he's such a good boy. All right, let's go through to the next day. So we're working on tighter back cinch, getting ready for trick riding. This is ride number 11, working in the snaffle, working on getting control at speed, doing spirals, stopping and backing with head down using legs, working on flexing and softness, power of a circle, which is in our Horse Help College, intro to the spin, lay down day 3, sit day 4, total time, tie time 3 hours. So this is me working on power of a circle and disengaging his hindquarters and trying to get him to move freely at the canter. So at this point, he's green, so we don't care what lead he's on. We just want to send him forward, make sure that he gives with his face, goes where we tell him to go, direct him back to a loose rein, direct him, put him in the circle, back to a loose rein. So he had a habit of wanting to float out, so I would disengage him and put him back in the circle. So I disengage to the inside, send him back forward, get back on the circle, trying to keep his nose tipped to the inside and looking where we're going. So anytime that he would float out, I'd disengage and send him back forward and send him back into the circle. This is us working on, this is a time-lapse video, so that's why it looks so funny. I say it's time-lapse, but it's like 5 minutes long. Maybe it's not time-lapse. Yeah, it is, a little bit. So this is us working on the pointer dog. So usually we would do the lay down session right at the end of a ride, so you be a little hot and sweaty. Sometimes you could even wet your horse down or give them a bath and then work on the lay down, so they start looking for that buckle, start looking for that lay down. So we're getting him to hold that leg longer and longer. I don't know if he knelt down here for the first time or not. I think he just started to kind of buckle and understand it. All right, flash forward. Let me pause this one so it's not trying to go. All right, so 17 days, a little over 2 weeks. We had our ride number 12, first soccer game. He started drinking from the automatic water and officially eating treats, so that's awesome. Lay down day 4, sit day 5. So I could get further, sending him from further away to go sit down and letting him sit for longer periods of time. This is him rocking it during a soccer game.
2, 1, go, baby!
I think Stitch is in... Oh yeah, there's Stitch. This is Stitch, the other Mustang. He's also playing a soccer game with us. So a lot of these horses are training horses. Soccer games get a little bit intense. Tarzan was very good at soccer. He says, "My ball, I'm taking it. I am the leader. I am winning." Okay, so this was the first day that he got the buckle. So this is the bow or the kneel that we asked for right before they lay down. I don't know if he actually laid down in this session or if this was just the one where he got the kneel. Let's see. Almost there. Just a lot of repetition. And now that he's finally taking treats, that makes it easier too. So in the beginning, I would just give him rewards. Good boy. I would just give him rewards for with pets, but once he figured out that he could have treats, so we'll go back to that again. So it was the same steps from what we were doing. So I have him now where he will put his nose on the ground, lift his leg, and hold his leg, and now he's looking for that bow. All right. Scroll back up. Will we do anything fun on this day? Working on guiding and softness, lay down number 5, sit day 6, sheath cleaning, full body massage. Rotten, spoiled rotten. Okay, this day was fun. So this is day 19 days since picking him up, ride number 14. This was his first bareback ride, walk, trot, canter. Work with the American flag, I worked on standing him. Lay down number 6, sit day 7, total tie time was 1 hour. This is my feral, undomesticated pony that I turned into a jungle gym. Getting better with his lay down. So it's him with a full cheek snaffle. Yes, thank you. I'm not sure who said who. The whole process is beautiful. How could you not fall in love? It was an amazing experience for sure, to say the least.
I'm not above it. I told Michael he's coming home one way or another, so sell the kidney, sell the lung, whatever I gotta do.
Yeah, at this point, I'm still planning to compete and thinking I'll just pay whatever I need to get him back. And then I realized I wasn't willing to lose him. So white now. I groomed this horse so much to get him pretty.
I know it feels weird. I know it feels weird. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, good boy. I know it feels weird. Good boy. I know. Good job. Big fat boy.
This is me turning him into a jungle gym.
I touched your booty. I'm sorry.
So on trick riding horses, I have to be used to everything. Crawling all over them, touching them. I was going to trick ride on him in the finals, so I'd already been like prepping him for that process.
Wild man.
My crazy undomesticated pony.
The problem is he's gonna make me end up with more of these. End up doing all of the Mustang competitions.
That's not so bad. Just can't keep all Mustangs.
Still, I'm trying to keep all the Mustangs. That is not good.
Yeah, I'm getting banned from all these competitions because I get attached and
I'm
keep
so
things.
excited to watch him do his first trick riding lesson. Good boy.
Well, he just said right now what you just said.
Yeah.
As I fall off of him into the
I wish I
arena.
could explain to you guys how slick it is.
I've been grooming him a lot at this point, so he's very, very, very slick.
Is that the first time you're gonna stand up?
Yeah.
It's like she is just crazy.
Good boy. He's like, who is this wild person? My mom's a psychopath. My mom's a psychopath.
He just.
Oh, poor horse. He's like, this is all normal. This is my human. Everybody has a human, but this one is mine. So this was his first day of getting turnout, which was awesome because I could catch him back now. First trailer ride while tied. Ride number 17, we took him to the racetrack. So we took him to the racetrack, worked on tight spaces. I actually put him in the chute there at the racetrack and played with that. And there was a lot of darkness and shadows. This is him during turnout and not jumping a fence, which I appreciate. This was us getting ready for the racetrack. Got my GoPro on. Going through first grade, making sure everything's good. My little pre-flight check.
That just happens every day.
Ask him to do the come get me trick.
And off to the races.
Off to the races. There's him and Stitch with all the lights. This is us hanging out in the chutes. This is us racing our horses down the track. They're going, but they're looking at the lights from the phones. So all the phones are making the the flashlights are out. So they keep looking at it, like see Stitch looking at it.
And Stitch for the winner! Good boy. We'll bring Ricky next time. Good boy. There's Stitchy. Ready for the races. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. Good boy. We'll bring Ricky next time.
So the question on here is, what do you do for the makeover?
Is that scary?
So you have a handling division, you have a compulsory division where you have to do like basic maneuvers, simple changes. They have a reining pattern that you have to do. They have a trail class that you have to do. And then you have, if you make it to the top 10, you do freestyle. So for freestyle, I was going to do is trick training, do some trick riding, throw in a reining pattern, use an inflatable. This is us just hanging out in the chutes with them. All right, let's see. So this one is an off day, day 21, did 4 hours of tie time. This is all of my horses together because I have a little bit of a problem. So these are all my pretty ponies. From the left to the right, we have Carl and Benjamin, which are our up-and-comers. They're 3-year-olds. At the time, they were 2. Tarzan, Cody, trick riding horses, Bart, Cookie Monster, Lightning, and King. I have a problem. They're all different colors. He fits in perfect with my bunch of misfits. Oh, this is me showing how tie time is worked. So this is me leaving him. He was tied with all these horses, taking all of these horses away, and he's standing quiet and not pawing or panicking or doing anything stupid. Took his friends away. He's still standing quiet. All right, let's get into more fun stuff now. So things we did today, we did a dental float, we extracted his wolf teeth, we had a bareback party with all of our friends and the academy students. We played the can bag game, which is super sketchy on colt starts and problem horses. Basically, we have a bag full of cans and you toss it from one horse to the next. So we work on that like unexpected, expecting the unexpected. Did flips, did a little drill team practice, had some shenanigans, and lay down day 7. So this is him and Stitch. These are our stocks whenever we have something feral and we need to do their teeth. This is usually the safest way to go about that. So they were getting their teeth done. A little bit of difference in the sizes between the two. Him sitting quiet. I'm going to turn off the music because it's definitely rap and it was inappropriate. So we're just going to turn that on mute. This is us having our bareback party. There's Cat on Stitch, who is also same thing, same Mustang, same herd, brought at the same time, going through the same program. 2 horses, that way you can see that it's not just Tarzan being cool.
Ready when you are.
This is my little jungle gym. What ride did I say that this was? This is ride number 16. So this is a little over 2 weeks under saddle. And this is my jungle gym. All right, let's see. Can't that game. This is Miss Chris. Chris is one of our academy students that came. She's now super roper.
Alright, do you want to go in here?
Ready? I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh.
Nice. Good boy.
This poor horse.
Ready?
Let's see. So I'm trying to look through the comments at the same time.
Nice.
Turn the music down so you guys aren't subjected to all of our whoop.
Okay.
No, this is the can bag game.
Stand back in. Ready?
So again, two undomesticated Mustangs with barely over 2 weeks worth of ride time on them. Barely over 2 weeks worth of rides. That's the can game. This is us playing drill team. This is Tarzan looking for a treat, working on his laydown.
Oh no, no. No, you're fine. He likes it. He wants it.
Good
boy. Good
He's just looking for a treat. He says, I'm hungry. He wants it so bad. Look at him just looking for the treat. He turned into a fat kid quick.
He's right there.
That's really close. And it's so consistent too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Question here to get him to stand so perfectly still, and always including when Buddy's got taken away, is tie time. Yes, tie time is the key to everything. That's why I make a point of saying it like so many times on here and like the repetition, because tie time makes such a big deal. Let's see. Totally awesome journey. Looking forward to finishing watching it tomorrow. We've got to go to bed. Good night. Good night, Robin. Good night, Jordan family. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep going around. You guys can watch it. You can watch the replay. I have nothing better to do than to hang out with you guys. So I will eventually go to bed at some point. But until then, I will continue sharing my journey with you all. All right. Now we're going to go back up here, move to the next day. So now we're on ride number 17, lay down day 8, hour of tie time. And this was our introduction to trick riding practice. So I started adding, he's in a trick riding saddle, tight front cinch, tight back cinch. Started introducing him to all of the craziness that goes with that. He's covered in poop. Disregard the fact that it's cold and he did not get a bath this day. I imagine I have some kind of inappropriate music going on. Oh, nope. For once.
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy, good man. Good boy, good man.
Holy memory lane.
Good job. Good boy.
I might get to do another Mustang makeover, but probably not, considering I got super attached to this one. I don't know that I'm going to get away with doing that again. I don't know which video is going. Let's start it back over and go to... Give it 1 second. Otherwise, you guys will keep hearing the same video that I can't find back. You would think with fiber internet this would be just a tidbit faster. All right, it's 10 o'clock in East Tennessee, so I'll catch the rest tomorrow. Sounds like a plan. Okay, so let me figure out what day we were on here. We are on day 24. Maybe my computer is trying to tell me how late we are staying up and what we are doing because it is not wanting to load. Okay, here we go. So day 24, this is ride number 18. We're still less than 3 weeks under saddle. I did power of a circle, lay down day 9, working on the sit outside, total tie time 4 hours. So it's working on the sit. It's working on the lay down. Still just have the bow. We haven't gotten past the bow yet, but we're getting more and more consistent. We should be laying down here shortly. Let me pause that one. All right, so day 25, ride 19, did power of a circle and obstacle course, lay down day 10. We did showmanship prep. We worked on Roman riding at the walk and trot, had a roping practice, track cows, and started working on jumping him into the back of the truck. So this is him working on that. This is him Roman riding with my horse King. This is him hanging out at roping practice. And King showing him the ropes.
Tarzan up. Tarzan up. Good boy.
So I have to talk a lot when I do the Roman riding to make sure that they're listening to me. Some people ride with whips. I'm definitely not talented enough at this point to ride with 2 whips and not spank my ponies. So I do everything voice command for the time being.
Good boys, Tarzan up. King up. Good boy.
King's a professional. He's been doing this for a very long time.
King up. Good job, big boys. Good.
They make a very cute Roman riding team.
Good boys. King up. Good job.
I
Tarzan
haven't
up.
done any work with them,
Tarzan
Colleen.
up. Good
I really,
boys.
so for those of you that aren't aware of what also happened during this journey with Tarzan, I found out, like after I'd already decided to drop out and keep him, I found out I was pregnant with Millie.
Good
So
boys.
I lost my privilege to ride undomesticated
Okay.
horses for a while, and
Tarzan
Michael stole
up.
him. And it was really just because Michael wanted to rope with him. So I really
up.
haven't done much trick riding on Tarzan because
Tarzan up.
he's been a rope horse for
Good.
the past year.
Tarzan up. Good boys. King. Don't fight him the whole time. Good boys.
King's the boss. He
Good
says, I'm going to show him what to do.
boy. Good boys. Good job. Don't bite him. King. Tarzan. King. Tarzan.
They're
Good
bickering back and
boys.
forth.
King up. King up. Thank you. Good boys. Good job. Good boys. Easy walk. Easy walk. And whoa. Good job. Good job.
This is him trying to figure out what roping practice is. Starting to track the dummy. Be around Michael roping. Let's see if there's anything fun on there. Okay. Let's see. So that was cool. Day 20, we did trick riding day number 2 in the pattern. We worked on lay down day 11. First time he got to be turned out with his friend, working on desensitize in the lay down, so he must have gotten the lay down in this one. This must have been the changing day. So it took 11 days to lay him down with a non-rope method. Starting sit from the lay down, worked on showmanship, getting ponied, hauled to a team sorting, and competed. So this is him and Stitch. They were in the same herd together. This is them loving each other. They're best friends. And they got to have turnout together from this point forward. And they get to be bestest friends. They need to go see each other again. I haven't seen Kat in forever. This is him getting used to having the arena be drug while we're sitting there just hanging out. Doesn't even care. He's just like, whatever. All of the chaos. All of the different things going on. This is him getting ponied from another horse. So when we're teaching them to trick ride, we pony them and get them used to that process so we can have them in hand. This is him ponying with me, trick riding for the first time on him. I don't know why the videos are such poor quality. So this is me spinning around on his neck. So they have to get used to moving forward while you're doing something crazy, and be okay with that and be comfortable and confident with that. Oh, yeah. So we're desensitizing while we're laid down now. So after he figured out that this was fun and he got as many treats as he could ever want. Once he laid down, he's like, this is the best thing ever. I'm just gonna sit here and get treats and get told that I'm pretty. So again, every time that we do a trick training session, we do it at the end of his session when he was sweaty, or it was, you know, whatever we were working on for the day, if he was tired. So it really encourages them to want to lay down and hang out, especially once they figure out that you can reward them and just keep giving him treats and telling him he's pretty.
Good boy. Peekaboo. There he is.
Now I have a kid. This is so much more funny now that I'm playing peekaboo with my horse. Alright. This was our first team sorting, so we hauled to a competition. Again, keep in mind we're less than 3 weeks under saddle. So people talk about the 30-day colt starting process and what we expect from them in the 30 days. And so we did a lot of crazier things with him than what we have to with most horses that come here, because I wanted to have him ready to go for this show. I wanted him to be phenomenal. I wanted him to do all these things. So if you have the time to do this, you can definitely do all of this with any horse. It's not just because he's a Mustang, not just because he's a competition horse. This is us all hanging out. There's Stitch. We're at our team sorting together. We're in the warm-up pen. Everybody's cantering around us. We're just chilling. We're watching the competitors, just hanging out. That's him and his buddy Stitch. There was little kids like trying to run behind us and through us, and it's like, I am so glad that you're not a typical undomesticated Mustang. Oh my gosh. Look at how cute that pony is. Oh my gosh, that is adorable. Alright, so this was 2 undomesticated Mustangs working together in the sorting.
Okay, cool. Mind the two.
So if you've never done cow sorting before, all of the cows are numbered. So you have to go in order. They give you the first number to start with, and then you do consecutive after that. Or some of them will call out each number and it not be consecutive.
You got it, you got it, you got it. Bring him on, bring him on, bring him on. Good job, good, go get it. It's done.
No, go get it. That was halfway. Go fast. Go fast. That's it.
Get the 3, get the 3. Get it.
So now you get 3, 4, 5, 6. So just, Tarzan's like, what? Craziness.
Stop those, babe.
You got two.
Oop, oop, oop.
Try.
I think that's enough.
Let's see.
Those horses have only been ridden a very short time. Next team in the arena, Troy and Vicky, followed by Amanda and Dawn, and then a herd change. Troy and Vicky. Kelsey and Kat, followed by Mackenzie and Presley. Push the herd back the other way, and only Mackenzie and
Alright. Let's see where we traveled to next. That was the cow sorting. So this was ride number 21. We're officially 3 weeks under saddle. We worked on jumping, lay down day 12. I must have put something out of order. Somehow there was desensitizing and the lay down should have been on a different day. I think I mixed those around. So this is the day that he actually did the lay down, was day 12. He did the sit from the lay down, showmanship prep, tracking the dummy. So this is him doing his first time going through some jumps.
So try, now canter. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my Lord.
He tried, gave it his best effort. Let's see. I think his jumping gets a little bit better on the next one. Yeah. Okay, so ride 22 is jumping day 2. Excuse my poor leg position. We also have roping practice going on during jumping practice. So this must be the day that he actually laid down.
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good job. Good boy. Hold on. Just jump. Good boy.
Trying to give him treats to freeze him so he realizes that it's a good thing to be down.
Good boy. Sit. Sit. A little bit higher. Get your feet up.
So I'm taking advantage of the fact that he's already trying to sit.
Up. Get your feet up.
He's so lazy.
Boy. Get your feet up.
So with the
Oh,
sit,
sorry.
with the sit, you kind of have to catch them as they're trying to get up and start having them hold it for longer and longer. Let's see, was there anything that bothered him? Yeah, all of it bothered him in the beginning. But it was just the system of introducing him to the process and taking him through it. Clipped him, tried to get where he wasn't so nasty, trimmed his feet, made him pretty. I'm trying to think of what the biggest thing, because once you introduce it and you go through the desensitizing process, then everything you introduce is the same process. So initially it's a little spooky, but then you reassure them and you go through the same steps. So there wasn't anything that bothered him long term. He wasn't a fan of the 4-wheeler for a while, so that took a little bit longer. This is him getting a chiropractic adjustment. Had an off day. Let's see. So this day we worked on line driving. I didn't ride him this day. Worked on his lay down and sit in a new arena with distractions. First time with overnight turnout when I was convinced that he wasn't going to run away at night. Let's see. This is him in a new arena working on his lay down. He's trying to find a soft spot to lay down. He is very picky. It had to be super soft or he didn't want to do it. He's such a good boy. Working on his sit. So you kind of have to pause their thought process to make the sit be more of a pause instead of a just get straight up. And then you shove their mouth full of cookies, which he now loves at this point. And they have to get built up for that. So a lot of people don't realize, they think that a horse can just learn to lay down and learn to sit. You can just hop on them and get on them for the first time. But you really have to build up those back muscles because you don't want that to be a negative experience. Such a good boy. All right. Let's see. Pause that one. Ride 23, trick riding day 3, multiple laydowns and sits in arena with distractions, pedestal work, intro to the Liberty Come Get Me trick. So this is fun when you start playing with the Liberty, the Come Get Me trick. You can start actually teaching it at Liberty. Let's see if it'll actually load. So you get a really long lunge line or a couple lead ropes together and you start doing it from further and further away. So the problem is if they want to be with you and be around you, they already start trying to come to you when you need them to stay out there and be further away. So he's already trying to inch his way over and do it. So to build that Liberty Come Get Me trick, I ask from super far away and I can reassure what I'm talking about with the lead rope. So I just kind of start choking that lead rope up as I'm asking for him to come over. And he'll start side passing over and parking himself. So eventually you can build that up to where they're anywhere and you can throw your hand up and they'll come side past you and park and be ready for the Come Get Me trick, even without having to have a rope attached to them. Which I don't know how long I worked on that for, because once I got motion sick riding, I was like, I don't know what I did after that. So we have working on his lay down with all of the craziness going on. I imagine Michael's roping in this arena right now, if I had to guess. Working on that in the sit.
Good boy, Tarzan. Good boy, Tarzan.
Doing more with trick riding practice. Michael trying to teach me how to trick ride.
Quit breathing like that.
Good boy.
Good boy. Good boy.
I do not miss bathing him every day. That was me trying to see if he's going to be built the way that I need him to for under the neck, which he's built perfect for that trick. It's me turning him into a high maintenance pony. All right. Let's see. So this was the first real resistance that when we were working on. So this is ride number 24. And we start looking for things that make them uncomfortable and working through that. So this was our second day working on the spin. And when I was working on it and I asked him, we'd also introduced a German martingale. And so he couldn't figure out where the release was, and he was starting to work through that process, and my timing wasn't perfect. And with him not figuring out, knowing where to go with that, he went up. And as soon as he touched the ground, we went right back to it, and he figured out where that release was. But this was probably the closest call that I came with him working on something. And then he was starting to figure it out. But just not knowing what to do with that pressure. Again, not bad behavior, horse behavior. This is a 1 month transformation of what he looked like from the first week to the first month. Looking a little bit more domesticated. So this was his first trip to a rodeo grounds for practice. We had a rodeo the next day, so he got to come with us for practice with all the horses there. Walk, trot, and canter. All the little kids running around. Stitch is also here for this. This was us getting ready for practice. This is our first time working on laying down with a saddle on, which is also a little weird because they feel pressure under their girth that they normally wouldn't feel.
Good job, good boy. Good boy, good man. All the way down. All the way down. Good boy. I know. Good job. That was a good boy. I don't think you did all the time. Good boy. That's a good job.
So for me, that was a good quitting point for him because it is so weird and it feels so funny. So that was his lay down day 1 in the saddle. We rode them through Sonic Drive-Thru. That's on here somewhere. We rode them through the Sonic Drive-Thru to get dinner. They thought they were pretty cool. Alright. Feral Mustangs Gone Wild. That was at the rodeo. This is a live that we did while we were at the rodeo behind the scenes. So this is day 33, 33 days since I picked him up, 25th ride. I did power of a circle, leg yielding, neck rating. I rode him in a rodeo grand entry and worked on spin day 3. This is him hanging out with all of them.
Good boy. Good boy.
State Rodeo Association and the Bearden Bros for the Bearden Rodeo Company. Once again, Red Trucks, Columbia. A big shout out to Allstate Insurance along with Columbia Medical Supply, Jones Ready Mix, Power Trucking. Also tonight, once again, Red Trucks. Special thank you to Boone County, Mississippi.
Stitches out there
The
too.
best hamburger here this afternoon, and you talk about heading it up. Those are from 8 to 58. And they're going to do an outstanding
There's
job
Stitch,
as well.
there's Tarzan, who just wants to go fast.
Silver, how about that? Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, the Bearden Rodeo Company from Patterson, Mississippi. Since 2005, they have been the stock contractor. Got a bunch of good sponsors here this weekend. Thank you so much for our sponsor of bringing rodeo.
So this is less than 30 rides under saddle. Michael's eventually gonna wonder where I went, but I'm not done yet. So, and we had night number 2, same thing, rodeo grand entry. It's a lot calmer the second time around. And walking right there.
Be sure to look at Cowboys on the couch.
Okay, thank you.
It's him sitting so quiet from all of his tie time. Such a cute pony. Let's see, anything fun here. Off day, just some love and brushing from his mom. Let's see. Just some boring riding stuff. Working on power of a circle. First lay down in a saddle. So he did it. Spark Notes version. Let's see. Extreme wind obstacles. So this was fun. This was working through. This is one of the things that made him more uncomfortable kind of going through the process. So same thing. We're just going to disengage and send him back through the push obstacle. Disengage, send him right back forward. So the thing that made this obstacle difficult is that the wind would die down and then the tarps would attack him, and then the wind would die down and then the tarps would attack him. So that was really fun to work him through that process. Get him going confident and easy. This was probably one of the more resistant things that we had done together. I don't know why this is in like 6 different videos. There we go. Good boy. Good job, buddy. Much better. So that was like from start to finish of going through that process. Him after his lay down. Alright, so that was probably a good one. We did Roman riding, rode bareback on the trail ride with 21 people. Did some snuggles during lay down. This was during one of our retreats. So I got to ride him with a big trail ride. Because it's a hard life being a Mustang. So hard. Spoiled rotten. So spoiled. Alright, let's see. So this was our first lay down in the saddle from just tapping our hand. I wonder if I have that. So he's gotten his lay down where I just have to tap the ground with my hand. Distractions, we have the cows. That's Lola. That's one of our cows that's very nosy.
You're a good boy. Hold on. Good boy.
Okay, so I took him to his first horse show. So that was Ride 31. Ride 32 was his first horse show. Lay down in the arena with strange things and distractions. This was all his ribbons that he won at his first horse show. He competed in showmanship, horsemanship, pleasure, trail, riding, and reining. And he won $2, which is more than I had won to that point with show horses. So day number 42, he had no rides. We started working on trick training. So we worked on his rear day 1 and his Spanish walk. So this is his rear and his Spanish walk.
Yeah, that's where it can get like a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Good boy. Good job.
He says, cookies. I just want cookies. Him rolling and being a turd. Let's see. Scroll up here, working on power over circles. So that was one of the exercises that I super struggled with and had to do over and over and over again. For me, not for him. Let's see. We took him on his first big trip. We drove him to Missouri with us for an expo. So he got to be in the expo. He got to be in the expo first down pack for the rodeo.
All week long. 20,000 square feet of sales with deals to be had. Wranglers of jeans. Timeouts. We enter to win. You want more? More often. Hey, don't forget us, folks. We got PFI 10 sales all week long. 20,000 square feet of sales with deals to be had. Wranglers of jeans. Timeouts. We enter to win. You want more?
There we go. I was like, where is that playing at? Okay. So here's another one. Here's another push obstacle that we ran into working through. So this is him with some kids working on his lay down. All kinds of chaos going on around him. This is him hanging out in his demo.
Hey, everybody wants to kiss one. Everybody, give me your best kiss. We try.
So this tarp that we're working through here is a white tarp. So same thing, we treat it just like any other obstacle. And this was one thing that really bothered him. I guess there's crazy white tarps in the wilderness that are spooky. So we're gonna work it through it.
She is so happy that the spotlight is not on her.
Let's see.
And ride her around is for her to give up her face.
I think we have this whole video of this on our membership too. We videoed the whole thing. But I wanted to share with you guys that working through resistance is part of it, even when you've had a ton of success to date.
Systematically, it doesn't look like much enough. I'm just grabbing her horse like this. Where do they leave the 2,500 pound bull from?
That's a whole pile of pool noodles.
So if I can get her to just get it every time she stiffens up, what's going to put my life in harm's way when I swing my leg over her here in a second is if she can lock her nose up. If she can lock her nose up.
One of the questions is, do you have a video lesson for Power of a Circle? Yeah, so Power of the Circle is actually going to be once you graduate 12th grade and you go into college. So we have all of those videos. They're in our membership currently. If you're already in our membership, you can look at the Power of a Circle video. And then that will be the next step after you get through the Horse Help course. So again, we've kind of tried to standardize everything to make sure that you're finding success and you really have the basics down. So for me, the reason I struggled so much with Power of a Circle is I didn't spend enough time on disengaging the shoulders and working on 10th grade. So I really didn't have that very good before I started doing those Power of a Circle exercises. And if I would have done a better job in that grade, I could have made my life a lot easier and a lot less work. So all these days were just kind of updates on everything. 12-hour trailer ride home, him hanging out with his food. Power of a Circle again because I suck at Power of a Circle. Power of a Circle again because I suck at Power of a Circle. This is more pictures of his rear and his Spanish walk. His rear got amazing. He loves it so much. I have some really, really pretty videos or pictures of him on here. So this was up to day 52. This is April 1st. I found out I was pregnant like 3 days before this. So at that point, I had decided that I was going to withdraw him from the competition. So I did a really crummy job of keeping everything updated from that point forward. Ooh, that got really close really fast. Sorry about that. Okay, let's do something different. Let's let you look at one of these other things, like this one. There we go, so we can look at this. Yeah, so we're gonna go through on tomorrow, I think is when I have scheduled for this, and talk a little bit about our Horse Help success path. So what I wanted to do was have a step-by-step journey to where if you come in and we can help you by answering one question and that's all the help that you need, or if you need step-by-step hand-holding all the way through, that's why we developed this success path, and I'm going to show you that as well. Tomorrow we'll go more in depth. Somebody asked, why did you want to teach him to rear? So for me, I had the rear in his freestyle, and I'm also a very advanced rider that is going to have a horse. Like, this horse is not going to be ever asked to rear from anybody besides me in his training. So that's the thing with, it sounds bad, but a lot of people that are experienced with trick horses, you kind of treat a horse that has a rear like a loaded gun. You want to make sure that the people that are handling it know exactly what to do, when to do, how to ask for it, and nobody else is around that habit. So I put his rear in a place, I put his cue in a place where nobody's going to accidentally tap it, nobody's going to accidentally ask for it, and then I never had anybody else rear him besides myself. So that was just for my personal use to have on him as a personal horse. I would not recommend putting a rear on very many horses, just because if they do get a little bit of confusion with that. So you notice his go-to for resistance there a little bit after we had taught him the rear, he got light in the front end. So I had to remind him that rear is used in situations where I want you to rear, but not when it's not being asked for. So that's where that confusion can come if you're not comfortable with that. You're not comfortable distinguishing and helping the horse distinguish between the two, what those boundaries are going to be with that trick. But again, I needed it for him for our show purposes. He'll be one of my demo horses. So as we travel around to all the different expos and do things and travel with him as a trick riding horse, he will eventually be one of my Liberty trick riding, Roman riding, do everything horses. So that is a trick that I want to have on him for that purpose. But yeah, guys, I am going to get off of here for tonight. I thank you guys so much for hanging out. There's still a bunch of people that are on here tonight. But tomorrow we'll do a bunch of questions. We'll go through the Horse Help Success Path, which I will share all of that with you in depth, answer any questions that you may have, finish up some questions that we have, and hit our last topic for this Confidence Coaching Week. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.